Chapter 784. This time there were 3 at the 5th layer of the spiritual sea realm and 1 at the 3rd layer of the spiritual sea realm. Their essence blood was even more majestic and pure. Similarly, they all rushed towards the suppressing prison monument's bloodline. This time the refinement took an entire day's time. In the Shangguan clan, a terrifying aura and killing intent were emitted from a palace. What did you say? Jinjue was killed by that kid called Lu Ming? A deep roar rang out, filled with endless anger. The owner of the voice was Shangguan Wuchen and Shangguan Wuling's father, the Shangguan clan's elder with real power, Shangguan Zhongyuan. Shangguan Wuchen, Shangguan Wuling, and a skinny man stood beside Shangguan Zhongyuan. Their faces were pale and cold sweat was dripping down. They knew that Shangguan Zhongyuan was infuriated, incomparably furious. Shangguan Jinjue was killed? In the entire Shangguan clan's younger generation, Shangguan Jinjue was ranked number 2. There was only one person stronger than Shangguan Jinjue. The Shangguan clan had high hopes for such a genius. In the future, he would definitely become the pillar of the Shangguan clan. Unfortunately, he died just like that. How could Shangguan Zhongyuan not be angry? Lu Ming, he must die. After a moment of silence, Shangguan Zhongyuan spat out a cold sentence. But, father, there's someone guarding the 100 Supremes mountain. Those above the age of 30 can't enter. How can we kill that little bastard? Shangguan Wuchen said. Among the younger generation of the Shangguan clan, there was no one who could compete with Lu Ming except for one person. But that person was cultivating in a higher sacred ground and couldn't be disturbed. If they wanted to kill Lu Ming, they could only send an elder. But the elder couldn't enter the 100 Supremes mountain. Moreover, they didn't dare to openly send an elder to kill Lu Ming. They could only do it secretly. He can't stay in the 100 Supremes mountain forever. Wait for him to come out. Shangguan Zhongyuan's eyes were extremely cold as he continued. Send someone to monitor the 100 Supremes mountain. When that kid comes out, inform me immediately. Yes, the skinny man said. Lu Ming cultivated beside the long spear for an entire day before he managed to refine all the essence blood. However, his prison-suppressing steel bloodline still hadn't evolved. However, this time, Lu Ming had a feeling that he wasn't far from the god grade. That feeling was very strange. He could feel that the prison-suppressing steel was not far away from leveling up. Lu Ming looked expectant. Once the hell-suppressing steel was upgraded to the deity rank, his battle prowess would definitely increase greatly. Furthermore, it was said that there was an even more incredible way to utilize a god bloodline. It wasn't as simple as just a burst of strength, but a huge boost to one's battle prowess. Prodigies who had awakened god-level bloodline had another title, which was god-level prodigy. According to the records, the top 300 talents on the list of top 1,000 talents were all god-level talents. That was to say, the top 300 on the list of top 1,000 talents had all awakened the 3rd bloodline, which was a divine-level bloodline. Without awakening a divine bloodline, there was no way he could compete with those prodigies. Lu Ming pondered for a moment, then let out a long breath and stood up. He planned to leave this place and find another place to cultivate. Brother, may I know your name? At this moment, a young man walked up to Lu Ming, cupped his fists, and smiled. Lu Ming frowned slightly. Brother, I can see that your battle prowess is strong and you're a dragon among men. So I'd like to make friends with you. I'm Chu Zhongshuan. The young man continued. His eyes were very pure, and he didn't seem to have any ulterior motives. Lu Ming raised an eyebrow and said, Chu Zhongshuan ranked 586th on the list of top 1,000 talents. Haha, my name is nothing compared to yours. Chu Zhongshuan laughed heartily. I'm Lu Ming. Since Chu Zhongshuan was so forthright, Lu Ming wasn't a hypocrite and smiled. Could it be Lu Ming, the greatest king on the Heavenly King list? Chu Zhongshuan's eyes flickered. If there's no other Lu Ming who also topped the Heavenly King list, then it should be me. Lu Ming touched his nose and said, "No wonder Brother Lu's battle prowess is so strong. With your battle prowess, you should be able to pass the 100 Masters Tower and even get a token that leads to a higher cultivation sanctuary." Chu Zhongshuan sighed. 100 Masters Tower? A token that leads to a higher cultivation sanctuary? Lu Ming was puzzled. It seems that Brother Lu doesn't know. Chu Zhongshuan was a little surprised. He immediately gave Lu Ming a simple explanation. There were many cultivation sanctuaries in 9 Dragons, and the 100 Masters Mountain was just one of them. It was just an ordinary cultivation sanctuary. There were other cultivation sanctuaries that were more wonderful and had better effects than the 100 Masters Mountain. However, some of these sanctuaries required a lot of resources, so only a limited number of people could enter. Some sanctuaries were only open to those who ranked high on the list of top 1,000 talents. After all, resources were limited and could only be given to the stronger geniuses, so that they could achieve better results in the Battle of Providence. It was said that the top 100 geniuses on the list of top 1,000 talents were personally sent to a secret place by Marshal Emperor Di to cultivate in seclusion and wait for the Battle of Providence. If one wanted to enter a higher cultivation holy land, apart from becoming one of the top geniuses in the world, there was another way, and that was to obtain the qualifications. In some ordinary cultivation sanctuaries, there would be some testing grounds. For example, the 100 Masters Tower in the 100 Masters Mountain. As long as one could pass the test, there was a chance that they could get a token that led to a higher cultivation sanctuary. Some geniuses who cultivated in the 100 Masters Mountain would often go to the 100 Masters Tower. I can't believe there's such a place. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. The 100 Masters Mountain was very effective for those with low cultivation. However, as one's cultivation increased, the effect would weaken. It would be better if one could cultivate in a more mysterious place. Brother Lu, do you want to go? Why don't we go together? I was going to try it too. Chu Zhongshuan said, "All right, let's go together." Lu Ming said. Then the two of them left. Chu Zhongshuan had been there before, so he was familiar with the place. He led Lu Ming in the direction of the 100 Masters Mountain. A few hours later, a tall tower appeared in front of them. It was a stone tower that took up a large area. It towered into the clouds. The two of them flew over and landed at the foot of the stone tower. There were a few other young men at the foot of the stone tower, and they all looked up. Lu Ming also looked up. The stone tower had a total of 10 floors. At that moment, the first 6 floors were shining brightly while the last 4 floors were pitch black. Along the way, Chu Zhongshuan explained the situation of the 100 Masters Tower to Lu Ming. The 100 Masters Tower did not test one's cultivation, but the will of heaven and earth. The 100 Masters Tower had a total of 10 floors. As long as one could get to the 9th floor, they could get a token that led to a higher cultivation sanctuary. Every time one passed a floor, the 100 Masters Tower would light up. At that moment, the first 6 floors were lit up, which meant that someone had reached the 6th floor. Right at this moment, the light on the 7th floor suddenly lit up. Luan Xiongfei has already reached the 7th floor. Can he reach the 8th floor? It's hard to say. However, the Luan family's will of 100 battles is indeed terrifying. Chapter 785. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. The Luan family was one of the 6 ancient families. Luan Xiongfei, ranked 432 on the list of top 1,000 talents, was even more powerful than Shangguan Jinjue. Clearly, Luan Xiongfei had reached the 7th floor. Rumble. Just then, a loud explosion came from the sky, and a scorching aura spread toward Lu Ming and the others. Everyone turned their heads and saw a tall and sturdy figure rapidly flying over. His entire body was covered in purple flames, making him look like a purple sun. It's the Wang family's sky-burning flame skill. Someone exclaimed, "Boom!" In the blink of an eye, the man was close to the 100 Masters' tower, but he had no intention of slowing down. His whole body was like a meteorite smashing toward them. "Oh no, get out of the way!" The others were shocked and quickly retreated. Lu Ming furrowed his brows and stood still. "Ha, get out of my way!" The man from the Wang family laughed and smashed down. "Brother Lu, get out of the way!" Xu Zhongshuan pulled Lu Ming aside and dodged. Boom! The people from the Wang family stomped heavily on the spot where Lu Ming had been standing earlier. The ground roared, gravel flew everywhere, and cracks appeared on the ground. "Wang Kong, it's Wang Kong!" Someone exclaimed. Wang Kong, ranked 430 on the list of top 1,000 talents, was one rank higher than Luan Xiongfei. Wang Kong landed on the ground and glanced at Lu Ming unkindly. He was a little unhappy that Lu Ming did not want to dodge just now. "The Wang family," Lu Ming muttered. He thought of Kenfei Ryu. Kenfei Ryu should have arrived in Kowloon City. He wondered if he had gone to the Wang family. If there was a chance, he would ask the Wang family. Luan Xiongfei actually reached the 7th floor. It seems that the 100 battles in tent has improved, but it won't be that easy to reach the 8th floor. Wang Kong chuckled. Sure enough, not long after, a ray of light flashed on the 7th floor, and a human figure was sent flying out. It was a burly young man. He was wearing armor and exuded a strong fighting spirit. Flying disorderly heroes, looks like you've failed. Wang Kong sneered. Wang Kong, I failed. You might not be better than me. After saying this, Luan Xiongfei didn't stay any longer and flew away. After Luan Xiong flew out, the light of the 100 Heralds' Tower was completely extinguished. This meant that there was no one inside. Wang Kong snorted and strode towards the first level of the 100 Masters' Pagoda. Below the first floor of the 100 Masters' Pagoda, there was a door made of light. After Wang Kong stepped into it, his figure disappeared. Brother Lu, let's give it a try too. Xu Zhongshuan said. The 100 Masters' Pagoda could be entered by multiple people at the same time. Lu Ming nodded and stepped through the door of light with Xu Zhongshuan. At the same time, a few others also stepped through the door of light. As soon as Lu Ming entered the light door, he appeared on a platform the next moment. As soon as he entered this place, Lu Ming discovered that he couldn't circulate his true essence at all. Even his spiritual flame couldn't circulate. He could only erupt with the will of heaven and earth. Whoosh! A flaming war blade condensed and slashed towards Lu Ming. This flaming war blade was condensed from the will of fire. It was equivalent to the early stage of level 2 entry. With a thought, Lu Ming's will of fire erupted and condensed into a flaming long spear. He then stabbed it towards the flaming war blade. With a bang, the flaming war blade was destroyed. In front of the platform, a door made of light appeared. The first level is really easy. Lu Ming smiled and walked into the door of light. In the next moment, he appeared on another platform. At this moment, if one were to look from outside the 100 Masters' Pagoda, they would see that 3 levels were lit up. This meant that someone had reached the 3rd level. This time, a flaming war blade was condensed on the platform. However, the will of fire contained within this flaming war blade had reached the peak of level 2 entry. It was equivalent to Lu Ming's will of fire. Lu Ming only used a will of fire to condense a long spear to clash with the flaming war blade. Clang! Clang! The long spear and the war blade constantly clashed, and the sound of metal clashing could be heard. Fighting purely with the will of fire. Not bad. This can train my will and make it stronger. Lu Ming thought as he focused on controlling the will of fire to fight with the flaming war blade. Lu Ming's will of fire was also at the peak of level 2 entry, which was equivalent to the flaming war blade. The two continued to clash. At this moment, 5 levels of the 100 Masters' Pagoda had lit up. This meant that someone had reached the 5th level. What a fast speed! That should be Wang Kong. He has already reached the 5th level. I wonder if he can reach the 9th level. The 9th level is unlikely. Luan Xiongfei only reached the 7th level. I reckon that Wang Kong will most likely stop at the 7th level. Under the 100 Masters Pagoda, there were still a few people watching and discussing. Lu Ming unleashed his will of fire and clashed with the flaming war blade. After more than 100 rounds, Lu Ming felt that he had become more proficient in using the will of fire. His long spear danced in the air as he gained the upper hand. After a few moves, he defeated the flaming war blade. Although Lu Ming's will of fire had not broken through the bottleneck and reached level 2 entry, he felt that he was one step closer. After defeating the flaming war blade, another light door appeared in front of him. Lu Ming stepped in and appeared on the platform of the 3rd level in the next moment. This time, a dazzling golden battle sword appeared. It was condensed from the metal concept, and it had reached the 2nd level of the concept of lesser success. It seemed that the wills that appeared in the 100 Masters Pagoda were random. There was no fixed wills. Shoo! The golden war blade was extremely sharp as it pierced towards Lu Ming. Boom! At this moment, Lu Ming unleashed 2 wills. Wind and fire merged together and formed a long spear. In a few moves, it defeated the golden war blade. Lu Ming continued and entered the 4th level. On the 4th level, there was still a golden war blade. However, the will of metal had reached the peak of level 2 entry. Lu Ming fought with the wills of wind and fire. After a few dozen moves, he defeated the golden war blade and entered the 5th level. At this moment, there were already people who had failed and were ejected. The 7th level also lit up at this moment. Someone had reached the 7th level. Below the pagoda, the others looked up to see if the 8th level would light up. But after a while, the 7th level flashed and a figure flew out. It was Wang Kong. Damn it! I was so close to reaching the 8th level. Wang Kong roared. When Wang Kong came out, he saw that the 7th level's light had extinguished, but the lower 6 levels were still lit. In less than 2 minutes, the 6th level flashed and a figure appeared. It was Chu Zhongshuan. He had reached the 6th level and was ejected. The 6th level's light was extinguished, but the lower 5 levels were still lit. There's still someone on the 5th level. Wang Kong looked at the 100 Masters Pagoda and did not leave. At this moment, Lu Ming was on the 5th level. A green ring appeared on the 5th level. It was formed by the will of wind and had reached level 2 entry. Lu Ming still only used the wills of wind and fire. He tried his best to resist, but he was completely at a disadvantage. Chapter 786. Lu Ming didn't want to achieve anything, but he wanted to avoid any mistakes. He focused his mind and unleashed his wind and fire intent to resist the attacks. Although Lu Ming's long spear, which was condensed by the concept of wind and fire, was buzzing and trembling with every attack, as if it would collapse at any time, Lu Ming blocked it every time. Lu Ming blocked the attacks while comprehending them. Outside the 100 Masters Pagoda, everyone was watching. What's going on? Who is it? Why did he stay on the 5th floor for so long? It's the person who came with Chu Zhongshuan. I don't know what his name is, but I reckon that he can only reach the 5th floor at most. That's why he was stuck there for so long. If you can't pass, come down quickly. There are still others who want to go in. Don't waste their time. At this moment, there were others who had just arrived, and they snorted. Boring. Wang Kong curled his lips in disdain. Just as he was about to leave, his eyes flickered. The others were also stunned. Because of this, the 6th floor of the 100 Masters Pagoda suddenly lit up. Lu Ming had reached the 6th floor. After enduring for so long, he finally reached the 6th floor. I reckon that the 6th floor is his limit. I bet that he will be ejected from the 6th floor in less than a minute. But before they could finish their words, they stopped abruptly, because the 7th floor suddenly lit up as well. It had only been a few breaths since the 6th floor lit up and the 7th floor lit up. Below the 100 Masters Pagoda, those people couldn't help but open their mouths wide. Those who said that Lu Ming's limit was the 6th floor, and those who said that Lu Ming would be ejected in less than a minute, blushed in shame. This slap to their faces was too fast. The 7th floor was already the highest floor that Wang Kong and Luan Xiongfei had reached. Now, another person had reached it. Interesting. Wang Kong moved back and stared at the 100 Masters Pagoda. The 7th floor stopped again. The 8th floor didn't light up, and no one came out. Inside the 100 Masters Pagoda, Lu Ming felt that he had trained enough on the 5th floor. Once again, he unleashed his lightning intent and fused the 3 intents, instantly destroying the green ring and entering the 6th floor. The 6th floor's intent was equivalent to the peak of 2nd grade minister. Lu Ming only took a few breaths to destroy it and reach the 7th floor. Therefore, the time when the 6th and 7th levels lit up was only a few breaths apart. The perfect 2nd grade intent appeared on the 7th floor. A lightning spear formed from lightning, and it pierced towards Lu Ming. It was fast and ruthless, instantly appearing in front of Lu Ming. Lu Ming used his 3 intents to resist the lightning spear. This time, the battle lasted for more than 10 minutes. Haha, lightning's intentes. During the fierce battle with the lightning spear, Lu Ming was enlightened and cultivated his thunder concept to the peak of 2nd level entry level. The power of the fusion of the 3 concepts increased again, and it destroyed the lightning spear in one fell swoop. The 7th floor Lu Ming stepped into the 8th floor through the light door. When Lu Ming stepped into the 8th level, the 8th level of the 100 Masters Pagoda lit up. Below the pagoda, the crowd couldn't help but widen their eyes. Lu Ming actually reached the 8th floor. Terrifying. This meant that Lu Ming's comprehension of intents had surpassed Luan Xiongfei and Wang Kong. Amazing. Lu Ming is really amazing. Chu Zhongshuan praised inwardly. Intent doesn't represent everything. This person's intent isn't bad, but his battle strength isn't that strong. Wang Kong snorted. The crowd didn't say anything. They knew that Wang Kong was unhappy that someone had surpassed him. They only raised their heads and looked at the 100 Masters Pagoda. Would he be able to reach the 9th floor? They couldn't help but look forward to it. The 8th floor's intent was the peak of 2nd grade perfect. Lu Ming's 3 intents weren't a match for it. Therefore, Lu Ming unleashed the earth intent. Once the earth intent was unleashed, the 4 intents fused and crushed the opponent. Lu Ming reached the 9th floor. The 9th floor lit up. Someone has reached the 9th floor. Amazing, amazing. As long as he performs well on the 9th floor, he might be able to get a token that leads to a higher cultivation ground. The 9th floor is extremely difficult to pass. The better his performance, the more likely he is to get a token. Below the pagoda, the crowd widened their eyes and stared at the top of the pagoda, the 9th floor. They wanted to see when someone would be ejected out. The 9th floor's intent didn't reach the 3rd level. If it did, there would be no need to compete. A 3rd level intent could completely crush a 2nd level intent. 9 battle swords appeared on the 9th floor. Blue, red, gold, they were actually 9 common intents. Each of them formed a battle sword and pierced towards Lu Ming. The 9 swords vaguely formed a sword formation. Boom! The 4 types of intents merged and formed a dazzling battle suit of 4 colors on Lu Ming's body. It covered his entire body, including his face. At the same time, a long spear was unhindered and had terrifying power. Lu Ming realized that the intents that appeared in the 100-house pagoda were the 9 common intents. Therefore, those who cultivated special intents would have an advantage here because special intents were more powerful and mysterious. Just like the earth intent, it was the strongest among Lu Ming's 4 intents. When it fused with the other 3 intents, its power was also the most terrifying. Pum, pum, pum. The sound of collisions continued to resound. After a few dozen moves, pung! A battle sword formed by the mountain intent was first defeated by Lu Ming. After the first battle sword was defeated, the remaining 8 intents were much weaker. Subsequently, one battle sword after another was defeated by Lu Ming. Soon, all 9 battle swords were defeated by Lu Ming. A light door appeared in front of the platform. "Is that the entrance to the 10th floor?" Lu Ming muttered. According to Chu Zhongshuan, it was difficult for ordinary people to pass the 9th floor. It would be considered good if they could pass the 9th floor and even last for a period of time. On the 9th floor, 9 common intents fused into 9 battle swords to form a sword array. Moreover, they were all at the peak of the 2nd level. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to pass at all. Only Lu Ming, who had fused 4 intents and the powerful earth intent, could pass the 9th floor. Then, what would the 10th floor have? Lu Ming stepped forward and entered the light door. Outside the pagoda, when Lu Ming stepped into the light door leading to the 10th floor, the light on the 9th floor suddenly extinguished. The entire 100-house pagoda's light was extinguished. The light is extinguished. That person has failed. They didn't know Lu Ming's name. Something's not right. Why hasn't he come out yet? Normally, he would be ejected after failing. Could he have died in there? Probably not. I've never heard of anyone dying in the 100-house pagoda. Wait. However, an hour passed in the blink of an eye, and Lu Ming still hadn't come out. 2 hours later, Lu Ming still hadn't come out. In the blink of an eye, a day had passed, and Lu Ming still hadn't come out. Chapter 787. What's going on? Chu Zhongshuan was also a little anxious, worried that something might have happened to Lu Ming. Chu Zhongshuan, this person came with you. Who is he? Wang Kong's gaze shifted to Chu Zhongshuan. A sharp glint flashed in his eyes. He is Lu Ming. Chu Zhongshuan said after pondering for a while. It was just a name. There was nothing to hide. Lu Ming? Who is that? You don't even know Lu Ming? Seems like you have been in seclusion for too long. I heard that the first place of this year's Heavenly King ranking is Lu Ming. So it's him. Some of the people present had heard of Lu Ming's name, while others had not. Lu Ming, so it's him. Wang Kong's eyes were even sharper, as if there were flames burning in them. Of course, he had heard of Lu Ming's name. During the Heavenly King ranking battle, the Wang family had lost a few geniuses, all of whom were killed by Lu Ming. I'd like to see what's going on with this 100 tower. How many days can you stay in there? Wang Kong sneered as he appeared on a huge rock not far away and sat down cross-legged. In fact, Lu Ming was also a little surprised. When he stepped into the light door and appeared on the 10th floor, he realized that there were 2 old men sitting cross-legged on the 10th floor. The 2 old men were dressed in gray robes, and there was no aura on them, as if they were 2 ordinary old men. However, Lu Ming obviously did not think that they were ordinary old men. It was impossible for ordinary old men to appear here. The only possibility was that their cultivation was too profound, and he could not sense it at all. When Lu Ming appeared, the 2 old men's gazes landed on Lu Ming, and they were shocked. Interesting. You have actually comprehended 4 different intents, and have successfully fused all 4 intents. This is very rare. One of the old men said, It's not just rare. I have never seen anyone who can fuse 4 intents and cultivate to the 2nd level. I have seen someone who has fused 3 intents. Another old man also spoke. Junior Lu Ming greets the 2 seniors. Lu Ming cupped his fists and bowed respectfully. Not bad, little guy. One of them nodded. Senior, may I ask what the test of the 10th floor is? Lu Ming asked. Examination. No, you've already cleared all the levels. However, since you've reached the 10th level, the 2 of us old fellows can't do nothing. As the old man on the left spoke, his eyes suddenly lit up like 2 balls of fire. In the next moment, endless flames enveloped Lu Ming. Lu Ming was shocked, for different wills filled the air as he shouted at the same time, "Senior, what do you mean?" "Brat, just use the concept of fire to resist. It'll be good for you," the old man said. Lu Ming's heart shuddered. These two old men were unfathomable. It would be easy for them to kill him. Why did they have to do this? Judging from the old man's tone, there seemed to be another reason. Immediately, Lu Ming withdrew the other three wills and only used the concept of fire to resist. When the flames controlled by the old man surrounded Lu Ming didn't feel the slightest bit of heat. Instead, he felt very comfortable. He felt as if he was bathing in the concept of fire. The various changes of the concept of fire appeared before his eyes. The concept of fire has such changes. Wonderful, truly wonderful. Why didn't I think of it? After a while, Lu Ming's eyes became brighter. He closed his eyes and comprehended. His perception was completely immersed in the concept of fire in the outside world, and his own concept of fire had various changes as he comprehended it. This brat has such a strong comprehension ability. The eyes of the old man on the left lit up, and he couldn't help but praise. Indeed, his comprehension ability is amazing to have comprehended it so quickly. However, it's not surprising. To be able to successfully merge four different wills and cultivate to this level. Even if he had a fortuitous encounter, his comprehension ability is absolutely amazing. The old man on the right said, just like this, Lu Ming was immersed in cultivation. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. After 3 days, Lu Ming's concept of fire suddenly became violent and powerful. The concept of fire had finally broken through to level 2 initial success. Breaking through the bottleneck in 3 days. Not bad, not bad. The old man on the left nodded and withdrew the concept of fire. Thank you, Senior, for helping me. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He knew that the old man intended to help him. Brat, don't be happy too early. There's more. The eyes of the old man on the right lit up. As soon as he opened his mouth, a fierce wind blew. Endless concept of wind enveloped Lu Ming. Concept of wind. Lu Ming was overjoyed and continued to cultivate. In the blink of an eye, another 3 days had passed. Lu Ming's concept of wind had also successfully broken through to level 2 initial success. Brat, the two of us have only mastered these 2 wills. Consider it your reward for passing the stage. The other wills are up to you to comprehend. The old man on the right withdrew the concept of wind and smiled. Thank you too, seniors. Lu Ming bowed and thanked them again. There's also this token. Take it. With your talent, you're fully qualified to cultivate in a higher holy land. A token appeared in the hands of the elder on the left, and he threw it to Lu Ming. Lu Ming caught it and was overjoyed. Wasn't this token the reason he came here? Now he finally got it. Lu Ming bowed again to express his gratitude. Go. The old man on the right waved his hand. Immediately, a powerful force acted on Lu Ming's body. With a flash of light, Lu Ming discovered that he was already out of the 100 Masters Pagoda. He appeared in midair outside the pagoda. At the same time, the true yuan in his body was no longer suppressed and could circulate freely. Lu Ming circulated his true yuan and landed on the ground. Lu Ming is out. As soon as Lu Ming appeared, someone exclaimed. Lu Ming actually stayed in the 100 Masters Pagoda for 6 days and then came out safe and sound. This was somewhat unbelievable. In the past, even if someone passed, they would only obtain a token. No one had stayed in there for 6 days. On a huge rock not far away, Wang Kong opened his eyes. There were 2 balls of fire burning in his eyes. His body moved and a blazing aura spread toward Lu Ming. He suddenly landed in front of Lu Ming. Lu Ming, what did you experience in there? Speak. Wang Kong asked, his tone full of command. What did I experience in there? What does it have to do with you? Lu Ming frowned and glanced at Wang Kong. Lu Ming, what's with your attitude? If I say it has something to do with me, it has something to do with me. Also, did you obtain a token that leads to a higher holy land? Hand it over. Wang Kong reprimanded coldly. Idiot, get out of my way. You're blocking the way. Lu Ming was speechless. Who did Wang Kong think he was? Others might be afraid of him, but Lu Ming had never been afraid of anyone in his entire life. Lu Ming, don't think that you can be arrogant in front of me just because you're the top of the Heavenly King ranking and have a stronger intent realm. Let me tell you, the Heavenly King ranking is a joke in my eyes. Although you've passed the 100 Masters Pagoda, your intent realm can't fully represent your combat strength. I advise you to hand over the token obediently before I take action. Chapter 788. The others watched quietly, knowing that Wang Kong was trying to snatch Lu Ming's token. It all depended on how Lu Ming would deal with it. Chu Zhongshuan wanted to speak up for Lu Ming, but the Wang family was too powerful. If he spoke up, he might get himself into trouble. He thought for a while and decided not to say anything. Get out of my way. A good dog doesn't block the way. Lu Ming had completely lost his patience. His face turned cold as he scolded coldly. You're courting death. Wang Kong's eyes were completely cold. His body emitted blazing flames, and the terrifying temperature distorted the space. Boom! He stepped out, his hand like a heavenly blade, and slashed at Lu Ming. Get out of my way. Lu Ming also struck out with his palm, activating the hell-suppressing heaven skill. Bang! Their palms collided with a buzzing sound. Lu Ming's body shook slightly, while Wang Kong took 2 steps back. Wherever his feet stepped, the rock was directly vaporized by the terrifying temperature, and 2 dark holes appeared. Let's fight in the air. Lu Ming rose into the air and appeared in the sky. Kill! Wang Kong's killing intent surged, and the temperature on his body became even more terrifying. The Wang family's sky-burning flame technique was activated to the extreme. At the same time, the pure purple heavenly fire bloodline burst out, making Wang Kong look like he was about to completely turn into a ball of fire. His aura was many times stronger than Wang Ju's when he was still a peak king. Wang Kong's cultivation was also at the peak of the 3rd level of the spiritual sea realm. Sky-burning flame, incineration cut. A saber appeared in Wang Kong's hand, which was also filled with terrifying flames. This is the evolution of the fire essence, the incineration essence. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. Wang Kong's talent was indeed terrifying as he ranked 430th on the list of top 1,000 talents. He had actually evolved the fire essence into the even more terrifying incineration essence. The essence of heaven and earth was not unchanging. It did not mean that the fire essence would be the fire essence just because you comprehended it. Some geniuses with terrifying talent could evolve on the basis of this kind of concept, evolving into an even more terrifying concept. As for what kind of intent realm they could evolve into, it was different for everyone. It would depend on themselves. For example, the 9 great concepts seemed to be the weakest, but they also had the most limitless possibilities. For example, the concept of fire could evolve into countless other concepts related to fire. Many of them were extremely powerful, far surpassing the concept of fire itself. The concept of incineration was one of the evolutions of the concept of fire. Whoosh! A terrifying saber light slashed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body emitted 4 different wills, which merged with the Genu Heaven skill. He slashed out a palm towards Wang Kong. Boom! In the sky, there was a terrifying explosion. The clouds were torn apart, and 5 different colors of light filled the entire sky. This time, Lu Ming's figure only swayed a little, but Wang Kong retreated 9 steps consecutively with a loud thud. How is this possible? Wang Kong's eyes were filled with shock. He had already unleashed his full strength, but he was still pushed back by Lu Ming's palm. He simply couldn't believe it. He was the genius of the Wang family. The Wang family cultivated the raging flames, sky-burning art, which was a deity-level cultivation technique. In addition, his intent had evolved and comprehended the concept of incineration. Moreover, his bloodline martial technique was also extremely powerful and was also a demigod martial technique. It could be said that he had no shortcomings in a battle of the same level, except for a limited number of monstrous geniuses or deity-level geniuses who had awakened a deity-level bloodline. He feared no one. However, right now, Lu Ming had actually skipped levels and defeated him. When had he ever been pushed back by someone with a higher level? Damn it! Wang Kong roared, and the flames on his body roared as if they were going to burn the world. Is there any use in yelling? Lu Ming took a step forward and slashed at Wang Kong with his palm. Boom! The two exchanged blows, and Wang Kong retreated again. To be honest, Wang Kong was very strong. He was much stronger than Shangguan Jinjue. When Shangguan Jinjue faced Lu Ming, he was completely suppressed and killed in a few moves. As for Wang Kong, he could still block, although he was completely at a disadvantage. Bang! 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 After more than 10 moves, Wang Kong was completely suppressed. No matter how much he roared, it was useless. Bang! In the end, Wang Kong was sent flying over 1,000 meters by Lu Ming's palm, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Lu Ming, just you wait! Wang Kong roared and turned to leave, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming did not chase after him. Wang Kong was very strong, extremely strong. If he wanted to leave, Lu Ming would not be able to kill him unless he used the inscription Dao and cooperated with him. The surrounding people looked at Lu Ming in shock. Lu Ming had actually defeated Wang Kong, and it was a battle of a higher level. It was really terrifying. Brother Lu is really powerful. I admire you. Chu Zhongshuan walked over and said, still with a look of amazement on his face, You're welcome, Brother Chu. I need to find a place to cultivate in seclusion. I'll take my leave now. Lu Ming cupped his fists and then stepped into the air and left. Some of the people left behind were full of doubts. They were guessing whether Lu Ming had obtained a token that led to a higher cultivation sacred ground. After flying for tens of thousands of miles, Lu Ming landed on a mountain peak and then entered the Temple of Paragon. 5 or 6 storage rings appeared in his hand. These storage rings were obtained from the enemies he had killed, such as Shangguan Jinjue and the others. They were all above the spiritual sea realm, and there were even some at the 5th level of the spiritual sea realm and Shangguan Jinjue. There were many things inside, not to mention other things. Just the top-grade spiritual crystals added up to 800 million. There were even dozens of mid-grade profound crystals, but there were all kinds of them. There were also many martial skills, spiritual weapons, and elixirs. It was a pity that there were no origin stones, but Lu Ming was satisfied. Now his 4 intents had all reached the peak of the 2nd level, and even his wind and fire intents had reached the 2nd level. He could continue to devour spiritual crystals to increase his cultivation. However, 800 million spiritual crystals wouldn't increase his cultivation by much. Lu Ming had consumed more than 800 million spiritual crystals in the process of breaking through to the spiritual sea realm from the martial king realm. Moreover, he had cultivated the super spiritual sea. If Lu Ming wanted to increase his cultivation now, he would need to consume even more energy. Bang, 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 piles of top-grade spiritual crystals were devoured, and Lu Ming started to refine them crazily. 100 million, 200 million. Not long after, Lu Ming had refined 600 million of the 800 million spiritual crystals. Lu Ming's cultivation had reached the peak of the 2nd level of the spiritual sea realm. If he wanted to break through to the 3rd level of the spiritual sea realm, the remaining 200 million spiritual crystals weren't enough. Lu Ming didn't continue to devour them. However, reaching the peak of the 2nd level of the spiritual sea realm also increased Lu Ming's true origin by a lot. In his spiritual sea, true origin was surging. At this moment, a spiritual medicine appeared in Lu Ming's hand. It was a 6th-level spiritual medicine. For a long time, Lu Ming hadn't cultivated his physical body. Now, it was time for him to cultivate properly. Using the 10,000 spirit battle body, he started to refine the spiritual medicine and cultivate his physical body. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. Lu Ming had refined more than 26th-level spiritual medicine, and his physical body had reached the peak of the 7th level. Chapter 789. After a few days of cultivation, Lu Ming's strength had improved a little. He ended his seclusion and continued to look for seals to comprehend the essence. Half a day later, Lu Ming sat cross-legged beside a huge stone axe and quietly comprehended. The essence that this stone axe exuded was the earth essence. There were not many people who could comprehend the earth essence. Including Lu Ming, there were only 5 people around the stone axe. The head of the dragon vein was the center of the dragon vein. The spiritual chi of heaven and earth was so dense that it turned into mist and drifted between heaven and earth. There was even an essence of heaven and earth permeating between heaven and earth. Obviously, there was a Tao eye in the dragon vein that could allow one to comprehend the essence of heaven and earth. The Wang family of the 6 ancient aristocratic families was located here. In a courtyard of the Wang family, Wang Kong stood beside a slender young man wearing a cloud pattern. There was no arrogance on his face. Instead, there was awe and fear. Wang Kong, do you mean that the person called Lu Ming might have obtained a token that leads to a higher cultivation, sacred ground? The young man asked. His voice was not loud, but it was full of authority. Brother Haoqian, yes. Lu Ming reached the 9th floor and stayed there for 6 days. It's very likely that he got a token. Wang Kong answered honestly. Oh, that's very likely. I must get that token. I want to enter the blood pool with it and condense the 3rd bloodline. Wang Kong, go get it for me. The young man's eyes lit up. The young man was Wang Haoqian, ranked 356th on the list of top 1,000 talents. Although he was only a few dozen places higher than Wang Kong, they were not in the same league. Those in the top 300 were called God-level geniuses. Wang Haoqian was in the top 400, close to the top 300. He was a quasi-God-level genius who was about to awaken the 3rd bloodline. Once he awakened the 3rd bloodline, and it was a God-level bloodline, he would be a God-level genius. Unfortunately, although Wang Haoqian reached the 9th floor of the 100 Masters Tower, he did not get a token to go to a higher cultivation, Holy Land. Wang Kong knew that Wang Haoqian wanted to get a token to go to a higher cultivation, Holy Land, the blood pool, to accumulate bloodline power and condense the God-level bloodline. Therefore, when he knew that Lu Ming might have a token, he had to get it. Wang Kong's expression changed slightly. Brother Haoqian, that Lu Ming's combat strength is very strong. I couldn't defeat him last time. So that's the case. No wonder you came looking for me. No matter, as long as you mention my name. I don't think he would dare to refuse. Go. Wang Haoqian waved his hand. Okay. Wang Kong nodded and left. Lu Ming stood beside the stone axe. This enlightenment took him 5 days. Lu Ming had gained a lot. He felt that the Earth concept could break through to level 2 initial success at any time. At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly turned his head and looked in one direction. Wang Kong. Wang Kong said coldly. Why? Are you looking for trouble again? Lu Ming smiled faintly. As soon as these words were spoken, the other 4 people beside Fu revealed a trace of shock. Could it be that Wang Kong was really defeated by this young man before them? Wang Kong's face darkened. I'm not the one looking for you this time. Wang Haoqian. You should have heard of him, right? The quasi-God-level prodigy, Wang Haoqian, Ranked 356? Lu Ming was surprised. That's right. He asked me to take the token from you. Hand it over. Wang Kong said coldly, his tone revealing a hint of threat. Ha ha ha. At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly burst into laughter. What are you laughing at? Wang Kong's face darkened. I'm laughing at your Wang family. You're one of the 6 ancient families. What a disgrace. You don't have the ability to get it, but you want to get it from others. Who does Wang Haoqian think he is? If he wants it, ask him to come and get it himself. Lu Ming laughed. His tone was full of disdain. Lu Ming, how dare you insult my Wang family? No one can save you. Wang Kong roared. Do you want to try? Lu Ming's eyes were as sharp as a blade. He exuded a powerful aura and took a step forward. Boom! Heaven and earth roared. Lu Ming's body exuded a powerful aura. Wang Kong's face changed drastically. He retreated quickly and shouted, Lu Ming, just you wait. After saying that, he left quickly. Coward! Lu Ming shook his head and continued to sit cross-legged beside the stone axe. However, just as he sat down, Lu Ming's expression changed. A voice transmission jade talisman appeared in his hand. He scanned it with his mind and his face changed slightly. It was a message from Qiao Xian. She seemed to be quite anxious. She had something urgent to tell Lu Ming and asked Lu Ming to meet her at a place. Lu Ming furrowed his brows and stopped cultivating. He flew towards the address that Qiao Xian left behind. A few hours later, Lu Ming met Qiao Xian. Lu Ming, something happened to Fatty and Tingting. Qiao Xian said anxiously as soon as she saw Lu Ming. What happened? Lu Ming's face changed. It's like this. Immediately, Qiao Xian told him what she had learned. It turned out that Kong Jin had been cultivating with Wan Tingting after entering the 100 Supremes Mountain. Everyone knew what Kong Jin was thinking. However, no one had expected that Wan Tingting had obtained a great opportunity. She had obtained the inheritance of a peerless expert from a seal. That inheritance was a deity-level cultivation technique. This time many people were shocked. The geniuses of the Luan family were nearby. They immediately forced Wan Tingting to hand over the deity-level cultivation technique. Wan Tingting refused, so the Luan family took action. This time, the genius from the Luan clan was defeated by Kong Jin at the beginning. However, the Luan clan sent out even more people. Kong Jin wasn't a match for them. He fled with Wan Tingting. Now they were trapped in a cave. Tingting and Fatty didn't send us any news. They must be afraid of getting us involved. I only heard about it because this matter was getting out of hand. Now, Fatty and the others are in danger, so I thought of you. Qiao Xian said, Damn the Luan family. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. The Luan family and the Wang family were jackals of the same tribe. They thought they were superior and could take other people's things as they wished. Lu Ming, I also heard that Tingting's inheritance is deep in her soul. Once it is leaked, her soul will explode and she will die. Qiao Xian said anxiously, Do you know where they are trapped? Bring me there. Lu Ming's eyes flickered with a cold light. They are at a place marked by a seal. It's quite far from here. Let's go. Lu Ming and Qiao Xian immediately flew into the sky and disappeared. Huff, 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 Kong Jin panted heavily. His entire body was covered in blood. It was all his own blood. He held his battle axe and blocked the entrance of a cave. Wan Tingting was inside the cave. Chapter 790. It was also because of this cave that Kong Jin was able to fend off the Luan family's attack. This time, the Luan family had sent out 3 geniuses. Out of the 3 geniuses, 2 of them were ranked in the top 500. One of them was ranked 420, and his combat strength was extremely strong. In addition, there were 8 young experts in the 5th level of the spiritual sea realm. Although Fatty had successfully broken through to the 2nd level of the spiritual sea realm, he was still no match for them. If it weren't for the fact that the cave was narrow and could only allow one person to attack at a time, Fatty wouldn't have been able to fend them off. He had been fending them off for 2 days and 2 nights. The Luan family had taken turns attacking him, and his injuries were getting worse. However, he couldn't fall. He couldn't fall for Tingting. Outside the cave, the geniuses of the Luan family surrounded the cave with cold gazes. Lu Ming had seen one of them before. It was Luan Xiongfei, ranked 432 on the list of top 1,000 talents. The other one was Luan Tianhao, ranked 420. Fatty, I advise you not to put up any unnecessary resistance. Otherwise, you'll suffer. Luan Xiongfei said coldly. I've already said that when I received the inheritance, there was a restriction in it. Once I do, my soul will explode. Even if you want it, I can't give it to you. Wan Tingting's voice came from the cave. Hee, of course we know that. However, as long as you follow us back to the Luan family, we'll naturally have a way to extract the inheritance from your soul. Luan Xiongfei sneered. Do you think I'm an idiot? If you extract the inheritance from your soul, you'll lose your soul if you're not careful. No matter how lucky you are, you'll end up as a retard. Kong Jin shouted angrily. Hee, that'll depend on her luck. Luan Xiongfei sneered. How precious is a divine level cultivation technique? How can you control it? Just follow us back to the Luan family obediently. Luan Tianhao said coldly. Don't even think about it. Come and fight me if you dare. I'll chop you in half with my axe. Kong Jin roared like an injured beast. His ferocious aura permeated the air. Not far from the cave, many people were watching. However, no one stepped forward to say a word. What a joke! Who would dare to interfere in the matters of one of the ancient aristocratic families, the Luan family, being targeted by an ancient aristocratic family? One could only admit that they were unlucky. You're courting death. Chaotic Flight's killing intent exploded. This damn Fatty was even more difficult to deal with than they had imagined. He had actually blocked the entrance of the cave. It had already been 2 days. They had taken turns to attack, but they still couldn't break through the Fatty's defense. If not for the fact that they were in a cave, the Fatty would not have been able to withstand more than a few of their blows, given his injuries. Fatty, forget it. Just hand me over to them. Wan Tingting's eyes welled up with tears as she looked at the Fatty's body that was covered in blood. She didn't want to go to the Luan clan. She couldn't accept it. She hadn't avenged her parents yet, but the ancient families were too powerful. What could she do? Don't say any more. That's impossible unless I die. Kong Jin's tone was resolute. Wan Tingting sighed. At this moment, she really hated her own incompetence. If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Luan Xiongfei strode forward and rushed into the cave. Come. The Fatty grinned. His eyes were fierce as he raised his battle axe and started to fight with Luan Xiongfei. Boom! Boom! Terrifying energy shot out in all directions, but there was a mark on the walls of the cave. All the energy that shot out was like a stone sinking into the ocean. The two exchanged more than 100 blows before Luan Xiongfei retreated with a gloomy expression. This Fatty's battle power was ridiculously strong. His endurance was also ridiculously high. Luan Xiongfei couldn't break through his heavily injured body. Ha ha ha! Luan Xiongfei, Luan Tianhao, you guys can't even deal with a heavily injured person. How about this? Leave this to the Jiang clan. At this moment, there was a loud laugh. More than 10 figures appeared in the air. Luan Tianhao's expression changed when he saw who it was. Jiang Taiyu, it's you? What is the Jiang clan doing here? Luan Tianhao. Everyone has a share of the deity tier, cultivation technique. Don't tell me your Luan clan wants to take it for yourself? Jiang Taiyu smiled faintly. You guys want the deity tier cultivation technique too? Our Luan clan found that chick first. Luan Tianhao said coldly. So what if you found her first? I gave you a few days, but you couldn't get it done. Who's to blame? Let the Jiang clan do it, Jiang Taiyu said with a smile. Luan Tianhao and Luan Xiongfei's expressions darkened. Jiang Taiyu was ranked 419th on the list of top 1,000 talents, one rank higher than Luan Tianhao. Moreover, there were 2 other supreme talents from the Jiang family, making a total of 3 supreme talents. They were no weaker than Luan Tianhao and Luan Tianhao. The 2 sides were at loggerheads. How about this? Let's take that chick back and let the elders of the 2 clans discuss it. What do you think? Luan Xiongfei said. Okay, I have no objections. Jiang Taiyu said. I have no objections either. Now it's your turn to attack. As long as you get rid of that fatty, everything will be easy. Luan Tianhao nodded. They had reached an agreement. At the entrance of the cave, the fatty grinned. Inside the cave, Wan Tingting's eyes were filled with despair. Her face was even paler. Evidently, she had also been injured earlier. Furthermore, her injuries were not light. Let me kill this fatty. Jiang Taiyu strode forward, his eyes flashing like lightning. Let's see who you can kill. Suddenly, a cold voice rang out, and a powerful force field descended with a loud rumble. Xia Nianqing was flying toward them. Shao Qing, leave now! The fatty's expression changed as he shouted. The Jiang clan and the Luan clan had 6 supreme talents and more than a dozen young experts at the 5th level of the spiritual sea realm. Xia Nianqing was definitely no match for them. Shut up! Mind your own business! Xia Nianqing scolded. Without stopping, he stepped forward. His body emitted a black light, and his black gauze dress fluttered, making Xia Nianqing look like a demoness. What a beautiful chick! I'll take her back and make her my concubine. Jiang Taiyu's eyes lit up. There was a hint of passion in his eyes. Bang! In the next moment, Jiang Taiyu moved. Like a peerless divine weapon, he broke through the sky demon force field and charged toward Xia Nianqing. Destruction cut, Xia Nianqing whispered. In the sky demon force field, the space was distorted, and a terrifying cutting power erupted. Jiang Taiyu's expression suddenly changed. His body emitted a black light, and he slashed forward like a divine weapon. Clang! Clang! Jiang Taiyu's arm collided with the destruction cut, making a sound of metal clashing and sparks flying. Interesting. But you want to stop me with such means? You are still far from it. Jiang Taiyu's eyes emitted a dim light. His body suddenly moved, as if he had turned into a sword. A slender assassination sword, a viper sword, swam in the sky demon force field. The sharp sound of the air breaking rang through the sky. Whoosh! Whoosh! The Jiang clan's immemorial mystical weapon technique was amazing. It could refine a person into a mystical weapon. Chapter 791. Heavenly Demon's Hand. Xia Nianqing pressed out with one hand again, and a beautiful arm was formed. It was like the arm of a supreme demon descending, pressing towards Jiang Taiyu. Apparently, Xia Nianqing's cultivation had also improved, reaching the 2nd level of the spiritual sea realm. This palm seemed to have locked onto Jiang Taiyu. Jiang Taiyu was in the heavenly demon power field and had nowhere to hide. Jiang Taiyu's face changed slightly, and his hand slashed out like a sword. Clang! Jiang Taishu's hand collided with Xia Nianqing's heavenly demon's hand. Xia Nianqing's heavenly demon's hand was defeated, but Jiang Taishu also retreated 3 steps. So strong! Everyone's eyes were wide open. Jiang Taiyu was ranked 419th on the list of top 1,000 talents, and his cultivation had reached the limit of the 3rd level of the spiritual sea realm. Now he was defeated by Xia Nianqing, who was only at the second level of the spiritual sea realm. Good, very good. Girl, you've successfully angered me. Jiang Taishu's eyes were cold, and the black light on his body became stronger. A sharp qi spread out, piercing the space. At the same time, a black iron sword floated above his head. The iron sword was slender, like a poisonous snake. 9 silver chakras shone brightly. This was Jiang Taiyu's bloodline. Back then, Jiang Taishu's bloodline was a mountain full of weapons. But Jiang Taiyu's bloodline was different. It was only a sword, but it was pure. An incomparably sharp sword intent emanated from Jiang Taiyu's body. It was a vast sword might. Sword essence, that's the sword essence. Someone exclaimed. The sword essence was also an evolved essence. It evolved from the metal essence. Those who awakened the bloodline of weapons such as swords and sabers could easily comprehend the metal essence. But the metal essence could evolve into the sword essence, saber essence, spear essence, and so on. For example, the sword essence combined with the sword-type bloodline and the corresponding sword skill was extremely powerful. Kill! Jiang Taiyu yelled, and his arm slashed out like a sword. The sharp sword qi slashed forward as if it could cut through all obstacles. The sky demon force field was torn apart in an instant. Demonic lotus. At this time, Xian Yinqing frowned slightly and pressed his hands again. This time, a lotus throne appeared in the air. The lotus throne was black, and a black petal flew out. It was extremely sharp and fought against Jiang Taiyu's sword qi. Clang! A sharp sound was emitted, and the two cancelled each other out. Jiang Taiyu's face darkened as he launched a frenzied attack. However, Xian Yinqing was also extremely powerful. For a moment, it was hard to tell who had the upper hand. The others' expressions were grave. Xian Yinqing was too strong, only in the second layer of the spiritual ocean tier. If she broke through to the third layer of the spiritual ocean tier, what would happen? Wouldn't he be able to suppress Jiang Taiyu with a flip of his hand? In the blink of an eye, Xian Yinqing and Jiang Taiyu had exchanged dozens of blows. The two of them were evenly matched. Clang! With another strike, both of them retreated. Let's end this quickly. Why don't we join forces and take down this woman? Wan Tianhao said. Good. Let's attack together. Jiang Taiyu nodded solemnly. Xian Yinqing's battle prowess was beyond his expectations. At this time, Xian Yinqing controlled the sky demon force field. She was unbelievably fast in the sky demon force field. In an instant, she appeared at the entrance of the cave. Fatty, you heal first. I'll hold them off here. Xian Yinqing said. No, you alone are no match for so many of them. They'll take turns to attack. You can't hold them off. You'd better break out alone. Kong Jin said. Shut up. Xian Yinqing said coldly, but had no intention of leaving. Kong Jin was speechless. Then he said, Why don't you send a message to Lu Ming and ask him to come over? With the three of us, we should be able to break out. Okay, I'll send a message to him. Xian Yinqing nodded, took out a message jade talisman, and sent a message to Lu Ming. Kill. At this time, Jiang Taishu continued to attack Xian Yinqing. With Xian Yinqing blocking the entrance of the cave, only one of them could attack. While the battle was going on, Lu Ming also received Xian Yinqing's message on the way. He was even more anxious, and his eyes flashed with murderous intent. Miss Qiao, it's very dangerous over there. Don't go. I'll go save Fatty and the others first. After saying that, Lu Ming stepped forward, and his speed skyrocketed. At this time, in Wang Haoqian's courtyard, Wang Kong was standing beside Wang Haoqian reporting the news. Did he really say that? Wang Haoqian's eyes were filled with murderous intent. That's right. Lu Ming is unruly and lawless. He doesn't take you seriously at all, Brother Haoqian, Wang Kong said. He unruly? That's because he hasn't met anyone who can tame him. I'll make him bow down to me. Wang Kong, Bring that trash with the surname Jian and follow me to 100 Supremes Mountain. I'd like to see how unruly he can be in front of me," Wang Haojian said, and a cold, murderous intent spread out. "Okay, I heard that trash with the surname Jian is Lu Ming's good friend. He actually dares to meet a woman of my Wang family. What a pervert!" Wang Kong sneered and walked out of the courtyard. Soon, Wang Haojian and Wang Kong brought a person with them and rushed towards 100 Supremes Mountain. Boom! Boom! At the entrance of the cave, the battle had been going on for 3 hours. The 6 geniuses of the Jiang family and the Luan family took turns to attack Xian Yinqing. No matter how strong Xian Yinqing's true essence was, he could barely hold on. He was sweating profusely and panting heavily. "Bitch, let's see how long you can last." It was Zhang Taiyu attacking Xian Yinqing again. The storm-like attacks made Xian Yinqing's heavenly demon force field tremble violently. It seemed like it would be difficult to maintain it. Boom! Boom! The two exchanged dozens of blows. Xian Yinqing's breathing became heavier. "Bitch, I'll cripple your cultivation and bring you back to the Jiang family. I'll serve you well." Zhang Taiyu's expression became colder, but the evil fire in his eyes burned brighter. The stronger Xian Yinqing was, the more his desire to possess her was aroused. "You won't have that chance." At this moment, an extremely cold voice came from afar. In the distant sky, a spear light pierced through the void, bringing with it a terrifying sonic boom as it stabbed towards Zhang Taiyu. Zhang Taiyu's expression changed. His palm was like a divine sword as he struck out. Clang! His palm collided with the spear light. Zhang Taiyu's expression changed drastically. His body trembled as he frantically retreated. Whoosh! A figure appeared in the void, holding a long spear. His body emitted a bone-chilling, murderous intent. Lu Ming had arrived. "Lu Ming, you're finally here," Xian Yinqing said softly. "Little Qing, are you all right?" Lu Ming turned his head and looked at Xian Yinqing. "I'm fine." Xian Yinqing shook his head. "Haha, Lu Ming, you're here. Your cultivation has improved greatly. Great, let's charge out together." The fatty laughed heartily. "Fatty, looks like you won't die yet." Chapter 792. My skin is thick, and I can take a beating. Kong Jin grinned. With Lu Ming here, the 3 of them and Wan Tingting would be enough to charge out. Lu Ming's eyes swept across Zhang Taiyu and the others. He really wanted to fight with all his might and kill these people. But he also knew that it was more important to bring Wan Tingting out first. There would be plenty of opportunities to kill Zhang Taiyu, Luan Xiongfei, and the others. "Kid, you're Lu Ming?" Zhang Taiyu's eyes were cold and sharp. Jiang Taishu, the genius of the Jiang clan, had been killed by Lu Ming in the Heavenly King ranking battle. This news had already spread among the younger generation of the Jiang clan. Jiang Taishu was not an ordinary genius. He had fought his way into the 10 heavenly kings in the King realm, but he had suppressed it. He could enter the Sea of Soul realm at any time. Once he entered the Sea of Soul realm, his cultivation would definitely improve by leaps and bounds. He might even awaken the divine bloodline and enter the ranks of the god-grade geniuses. However, he was too ambitious and had been suppressing his cultivation, wanting to take first place on the Heavenly King ranking to increase his foundation. But he had been killed by Lu Ming. The upper echelons of the Jiang clan were furious. Many of the younger generation of the Jiang clan wanted to kill Lu Ming to restore their reputation. "That's right." Lu Ming replied coldly. "Good, I was just about to look for you. Since you've delivered yourself to me, I'll send you on your way." Zhang Taiyu's voice sounded faintly. In the next moment, his figure flashed and stabbed at Lu Ming like a shadow sword. He was extremely fast and came from a tricky angle. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. Without even looking, he swept out his spear. The dazzling spear light emitted a sharp whistle and filled the surroundings. Clang! Jiang Taiyou's figure appeared. His palm struck the spear shaft and bounced back. Then I'll kill you head-on. Jiang Taiyou strolled forward. His entire body was filled with sword intent. He was like a peerless divine sword. Swoosh! His palm struck down at Lu Ming. Lu Ming sneered and stepped forward. He also stretched out his palm and slashed at Jiang Taiyou's palm. At this moment, the eyes of the spectators flashed. Lu Ming was actually using his flesh and blood to fight Jiang Taiyou head-on. Was he not courting death? Everyone knew that the Jiang family cultivated the art of immemorial divine arms. Their physical bodies were like divine arms, indestructible and incomparably sharp. There was nothing they could not break. Even with a spirit weapon, he was unable to block it. Yet Lu Ming was actually using his body of flesh and blood. At this moment, the members of the Jiang family sneered. They were looking forward to the scene of Lu Ming's palm being cut in half. Clang! Lu Ming's palm collided with Jiang Taiyou's palm. It was as though two spiritual weapons had collided. A sharp aura spread out in all directions. Kacha! Then, the sound of bones breaking could be heard. Jiang Taiyou's expression changed drastically. He let out a low roar like an injured wild beast. His body retreated wildly. Everyone's eyes involuntarily fell on Jiang Taiyou's body. To be precise, they were looking at his palm. His palm was bleeding profusely and was severely deformed. However, Lu Ming's palm was not injured at all. Everyone's eyes were filled with shock. In a head-on collision, Lu Ming actually had the upper hand and shattered the bones in Jiang Taiyou's palm. How was this possible? Jiang Taiyou was someone who cultivated the art of immemorial divine arms. No one was more shocked than the members of the Jiang family. They knew better than anyone else that Jiang Taiyou's art of immemorial divine arms was extremely profound. He had also comprehended sword intent. His palm strike was extremely sharp, but now Lu Ming had shattered his bones with his flesh and blood. This was a huge blow to their confidence. How is this possible? How is this possible? Jiang Taiyou kept growling. His palm was covered in black light and crackling sounds could be heard. It was rapidly recovering. Charge out! Lu Ming said to Xian Yanqing and the others. Charge! Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin rushed out of the cave with Wan Tingting. Kill! Lu Ming charged toward Jiang Taiyou. Attack together! Jiang Taiyou let out a long roar. Instantly, another Jiang family's prodigy pounced on Lu Ming. This prodigy was also ranked in the top 500 and was extremely powerful. Luan Tianhao, Luan Xiongfei, and the others charged toward Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin. Lu Ming's aura was wild. He activated the heaven-suppressing hell skill and the true dragon of battle arts and launched a frenzied attack. The members of the Jiang family were like divine weapons. Their limbs were lethal weapons. When facing them, others could only keep a distance. Otherwise, it would be very dangerous. However, Lu Ming cultivated the heaven-suppressing hell skill. His limbs were like heavenly monuments that suppressed everything. He was also good at close combat. Bam! Bam! Lu Ming struck out with his palm and kicked out with his leg. His momentum was astonishing. He fought with the two Jiang family geniuses. Rumbling sounds continued. For a moment, he actually suppressed the two Jiang family geniuses. This was shocking. In the past few days, Lu Ming's cultivation and physique had improved. Naturally, his combat strength had also increased. If it was a few days ago, he would not have been able to reach this step. The onlookers in the distance were shocked. Charge out from here! Lu Ming roared. His true yuan surged, and his attacks became more and more violent. Haha, amazing! Watch me. I'll smash you. Dandan stood on Lu Ming's shoulder and laughed. Then it suddenly jumped out. retracted its limbs into its turtle shell, and smashed toward Jiang Tao's face. During this period, Dandan had swallowed a lot of spiritual herbs. It had recovered a little, and its aura was stronger. Jiang Taiyu was suddenly attacked by Dandan. He was careless and was smashed in the face by Dandan. Clang! Dandan was bounced back. It shouted, "Nest, you're so thick-skinned. I can't hit you." Jiang Tao's body was as tough as a divine weapon, but he was still a little dizzy after being smashed by Dandan. Lu Ming seized the opportunity and kicked Jiang Taiyu, causing him to spit out blood and retreat. They were about to break out of the encirclement. At this moment, a terrifying howl sounded. An extremely sharp aura and cold killing intent enveloped Lu Ming. Danger, extreme danger. Lu Ming felt goosebumps all over his body. In the distance, an arrow like a stream of light shot toward Lu Ming's back. Fast, too fast. Kill. The other prodigy of the Jiang family launched a frenzied attack on Lu Ming. He wanted to stall Lu Ming. Oh no! Lu Ming sensed that the person who shot this arrow was extremely powerful. He was definitely much stronger than Jiang Taiyu and the rest. He did not expect that such a powerful person would launch a sneak attack on them. He had gone all out to deal with Jiang Taiyu and the other man. It was too late for him to dodge. "Lu Ming, watch out!" Xian Yinqing exclaimed. She was shrouded in the heavenly demon force field. In the force field, her speed was as fast as lightning. In a flash, Xian Yinqing's figure appeared in front of Lu Ming. At this moment, the arrow had already arrived. Xian Yinqing did not even have time to launch a powerful attack. She could only use the power of destruction to rush toward the arrow. Chapter 793. Puff! The arrow pierced through Xian Yinqing's left shoulder, leaving a bloody hole. The powerful inertia caused Xian Yinqing to fly backward. "Shao Qing!" Lu Ming roared. He pushed back the Jiang family's prodigy and grabbed Xian Yinqing's slender waist. They landed beside the cave. "Fatty, retreat!" Lu Ming roared. Kong Jin didn't run far with Wan Tingting, but at this moment he roared and rushed back. "Shao Qing, how are you?" Lu Ming held Xian Yinqing in his arms and kept injecting his genuine core force to seal Xian Yinqing's wound and stop the blood from flowing out. "Fortunately, my vital parts were not hit. I won't die," Xian Yinqing said with a pale face. "Now, let's see where you can run to." Jiang Tao's face was cold as he stepped forward. Luan Tianhao and the rest also came over and surrounded Lu Ming and the rest. But Lu Ming did not even look at them. His eyes were looking in another direction. A young man in a black iron battle suit with a cold gaze walked over. He exuded a terrifying aura and a strong fighting spirit. "Chaotic wind and clouds! It's chaotic wind and clouds!" Someone exclaimed in shock. Lu Ming and the others are doomed. The Luan family sent chaotic wind and clouds. Chaotic wind and clouds. Ranked 350 on the list of top 1,000 talents. The exclamations grew louder and louder. Lu Ming's pupils constricted. This was the person who had sneak attacked him. "Fatty, take Tingting and Shao Qing back to the cave," Lu Ming said. Kong Jin's face was grave as he led Wan Tingting and Xian Yinqing into the cave. Xian Yinqing sat cross-legged and began to heal his wounds. Although the arrow had hit his vital parts, the will on it was extremely powerful. Xian Yinqing's injuries were not as light as they seemed. Luan Fengyin stepped forward and stood in the air. His indifferent voice rang out, "Luan Tianhao, your speed is too slow. This matter has already reached the ears of the Empyrean Imperial Guards. The Empyrean Imperial Guards will soon send people here to bring that girl away. After all, she has obtained the inheritance of Reverend Blue Gold." Reverend Blue Gold was one of the commanders of the Empyrean Imperial Guards in the past. Luan Tianhao's face changed. "What should we do?" If the Imperial Sky Guards came, the Luan family would have nothing to do with the family. The Patriarch will think of a way to stall the Ditian Forbidden Guards for a day. That's why he sent me here, to capture this girl and bring her back to the Luan clan, Luan Fengyun said. With that, he looked at Lu Ming, and his lips curled into a cold smile. He said in a cold voice, "Get lost now, and you can live. Otherwise, you will die. Wind and clouds, sooner or later. I will kill you." Lu Ming ignored Chaotic Wind and Clouds' words. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. Chaotic Wind and Clouds almost killed Xian Yinqing. No matter who he was, Lu Ming would kill him. Haha, from the moment you said that, you no longer have a chance. I didn't want to make a move and only wanted to take the girl away. Today, I have no choice but to kill you. Chaotic Wind and Clouds said coldly. He stood in the void, high and mighty. The battle intent on his body was even thicker. The Luan family cultivated the 100 battle technique, a god-tier cultivation technique. They were naturally warlike people. Of course, their battle power was also extremely strong. Boom! Chaotic Wind and Clouds' aura suddenly exploded. His true energy boiled, making a sound like tsunami. His aura was like a mountain, pressing down on Lu Ming. The peak of the 4th level of the spiritual sea realm was Chaotic Wind and Clouds' cultivation. The peak of the 4th level of the spiritual sea realm was 2 levels higher than Lu Ming. However, Chaotic Wind and Clouds was not an ordinary martial artist. He was a quasi-god tier genius. Lu Ming's true energy was running at full force. There was a faint blue light shining between his eyebrows. Haha, I didn't expect it to be so lively here. Count me in. A loud laugh came from afar. As soon as the voice fell, a blazing aura covered the sky and earth. 2 streaks of flames, dragging long tails, passed through the void and approached in an instant. 2 youthful figures emerged from the void. Wang Haotian! Chaotic Wind and Clouds' eyes flashed. At this moment, there were cries of surprise from all around. The genius of the Wang family had also arrived. He was also a quasi-god tier genius. Brother Chaotic Wind, the inheritance of venerable blue gold has appeared. It's not nice of your Luan family to monopolize it. Wang Haotian laughed. Do I have to inform the Wang family? Chaotic Wind and Clouds said with a sullen face. Wang Haotian's ranking on the list of top 1,000 talents was only a few places lower than his. His battle power was not inferior to his. It would not be so easy for him to monopolize the god tier cultivation technique today. It's fine if you don't tell me. We'll have to rely on our own abilities. Wang Haotian laughed. Lu Ming swept his gaze across Wang Haotian and directly skipped over him, landing on a person behind Wang Haotian. Wang Kong. Wang Kong was holding a person in his hand. His face was pale and his breath was weak. Kenfei Ryu. The person in Wang Kong's hand was actually Kenfei Ryu. Brother Jian, what did you do to him? Lu Ming's eyes were like 2 sharp swords, piercing Wang Kong and Wang Haotian. Are you talking about this useless piece of trash? Wang Haotian smiled faintly. He looked at Jian Filiu with disdain and said, "This brat is so lustful. He actually dared to have an affair with a woman from my Wang clan. Therefore I crippled him." Lu Ming's face suddenly changed. No wonder Kenfei Ryu was so weak. It was obviously because his cultivation had been crippled. Damn it! Lu Ming growled. After this period of time, Lu Ming had already considered Kenfei Ryu a true friend. Now, Kenfei Ryu's cultivation had been crippled by Wang Haotian. Lu Ming, don't worry about me. I'm a piece of trash. I couldn't even save my junior sister. They killed her. You are beasts. All of you are beasts. Junior sister is a married woman, and you still want to reward her to someone else. Beasts. Kenfei Ryu's eyes were red as he growled. Humph, Wang Mang is already dead. Our Wang family doesn't raise people for nothing. Naturally, we have to make the best use of them. Wang Kong said faintly, as if he was talking about something very normal. Lu Ming more or less understood what was going on. Wang Mang was dead, so the Wang family wanted to give Kenfei Ryu's junior sister to other Wang family disciples to play with. Kenfei Ryu's junior sister probably sent a message to Kenfei Ryu for help. That was why Kenfei Ryu hurriedly left and came to Nine Dragon City. Naturally, he was discovered later. Jian Filiu was right. The Wang family was a bunch of beasts. Lu Ming, I heard that you were good friends with this trash, so I brought him here. Hee, looks like you came at the right time. Wang Haotian laughed. What do you want? Lu Ming asked. Simple. Hand over the token you obtained from the 100 Masters Tower. Then hand over the girl who obtained Venerate Blue Gold's inheritance. Then I'll give you this trash. Wang Haotian said with a faint smile on his face. He has the token from the 100 Masters Tower? At the side, Luan Fingyun's eyes flashed with greed. He also needed the 100 Masters Tower's token. I'll use the token to exchange with you, but it's impossible to hand over Tingting. Lu Ming arrived. If he handed over Wan Tingting, they would definitely strip her soul and turn her into an idiot. Chapter 794. A single token? No. I will make this friend of yours live a life worse than death. A cold light flashed in Wang Haotian's eyes. Lu Ming, don't bother about me. Junior sister is dead, and my cultivation has been destroyed. I'm already a cripple. Don't bother about me. Kenfei Ryu shouted. Shut up. Wang Kong grabbed Kenfei Ryu's shoulder with his claw. A cracking sound was heard from Kenfei Ryu's shoulder as his bones were broken. However, Kenfei Ryu just gritted his teeth and didn't say a word. Damn it, these scumbags deserve to die. Kong Jin roared at the entrance of the cave. Kiki! Lu Ming clenched his fists tightly. A surge of anger rushed to his head, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. Kong Jin was right. These people deserved to die. He couldn't wait to rush out and kill them, but now he had to endure it. Behind him were the injured Xian Yinqing and Ruan Tingting. If he acted rashly, he would only send everyone to their deaths. When Luan Fengyan had just arrived, he had said that the D Tian Imperial Guard would be here a day later. Perhaps when the D Tian Imperial Guard came, things would turn around. Luan Fengyan didn't transmit his voice just now. Perhaps he was too confident and thought that there was no need to hide anything. With him around, it wouldn't take a day to take Ruan Tingting away. However, Lu Ming had to find a way to stall for a day. Lu Ming, I'll ask you one more time. Are you going to exchange or not? Wang Haotian said. Lu Ming clenched his fists, and his eyes were extremely cold. He said in a cold voice, Wang Haotian, Wang Kong, if you dare to touch Kenfei Ryu again, I'll kill you. How dare you threaten me? Wang Haotian's face turned cold. He suddenly turned around and pointed his finger. A blast of energy shot out and pierced a big hole in Kenfei Ryu's shoulder. Blood dyed Kenfei Ryu's clothes red. Boom! Lu Ming's body erupted with a berserk aura. His killing intent was ice cold. No one noticed that Lu Ming's footsteps were slowly moving. Every time he moved, an inscription would sink into the ground. You want to use me to threaten Lu Ming? Dream on. At this moment, Kenfei Ryu suddenly roared. A faint red glow emanated from his spine. Not good. Wang Kong's expression changed. No, Lu Ming roared. Bang! At this moment, Kenfei Ryu's spine suddenly exploded and blood splattered everywhere. Kenfei Ryu had used some kind of secret technique to detonate his own bloodline power. This move was beyond Wang Haotian and Wang Kong's expectations. The self-destruction of one's bloodline power was equivalent to cutting off one's life. Kenfei Ryu vomited blood. He looked at Lu Ming and said, Brother Lu, It's my honor to be your friend. However, my junior sister is dead and my cultivation has been destroyed. It's meaningless for me to stay in this world. It's a pity that I won't be able to see the day when Brother Lu rules the world." As he spoke, Kenfei Ryu's life force became weaker and weaker. His eyes slowly closed. Then his life force was extinguished. Kenfei Ryu, the proud genius who once dominated Jinsha Island and used the alias King of Hell, who competed with Lu Ming, had died. Although he had not known Lu Ming for long, Kenfei Ryu was a sincere person. Lu Ming had already treated him as a good friend. Now, in order to not threaten Lu Ming, he had detonated his own bloodline and died. Lu Ming's aura surged violently. His murderous intent seemed to have solidified. "Brother Jian, don't worry. I'll make sure Wang Haotian and Wang Kong accompany you in hell. I'll make sure the rest of the Wang family die sooner or later." His cold and emotionless eyes stared at Wang Haotian and Wang Kong. For some reason, Wang Haotian and Wang Kong felt a chill in their hearts when they saw Lu Ming's eyes. It was as if they were being stared at by the Grim Reaper. "Trash!" Wang Kong took a deep breath and threw Kenfei Ryu's body on the ground. "Hee, Wang Haotian, it seems like you've lost your bargaining chip. How about this? Let's kill these guys together and take that girl." Luan Feng Yin sneered. "I alone am enough to kill them," Wang Haotian said coldly. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. Boom! Then he took a step forward. Today he must kill Lu Ming. He had a bad feeling in his heart. If Lu Ming didn't die, he would die in Lu Ming's hands sooner or later. It was a terrible feeling. Purple flames burst out from Wang Haotian's body. Terrifying heat burst out, and the air within a radius of dozens of meters was instantly burned clean, creating a vacuum zone. A spear condensed from flames appeared in Wang Haotian's hand. It turned into a ray of light and pierced towards Lu Ming. The blazing flames were still 10 meters away from Lu Ming, but it seemed like they were going to set Lu Ming's clothes and hair on fire. "Kill!" Lu Ming took a step forward. His true essence erupted. At the same time, for different wills surrounded Lu Ming as he struck out with his palm. Dong! The blazing flames spread in all directions. The ground rumbled and cracked. Lu Ming's figure retreated continuously. Every time he took a step back, inscriptions would flash and disappear into the ground when his feet stepped on the ground. Lu Ming exhaled heavily, suppressing the surging qi and blood in his body. He felt a sharp pain in his palm. His palm was a little black. It was burned by the blazing flames. Wang Haotian's battle strength was terrifying. Wang Haotian was also at the peak of the 4th level of the spiritual sea realm. He had cultivated the sky burning flames incantation to a very deep level. Xiao! Wang Haotian knocked Lu Ming back with one strike. He waved his flaming spear and continued to attack Lu Ming. Pung! Pung! Lu Ming stepped on the ground and quickly moved to one side. "You want to leave? It's not that easy. Die." 2 suns appeared in Wang Haotian's eyes as he continued to attack Lu Ming. Dong! Lu Ming struck out with his palm again, colliding with Wang Haotian's. In the rumbling sound, he retreated a dozen steps, blood flowing out of the corner of his mouth. This Lu Ming has such strong battle strength. He took 2 of Wang Haotian's attacks in a row. Around them, many people were shocked. Wang Haotian, a quasi-god realm genius, had extremely strong battle strength. Those with higher cultivation than him would be killed by him in a second. But now Lu Ming's cultivation was 2 levels lower than his. But he could take a few of his attacks without dying. It was terrifying. On the side, Luan Fengyun's eyes flashed. She was also very surprised. Wang Haotian himself was also shocked. This person must die. Otherwise, I may be the one who dies in the future. Wang Haotian roared in his heart. His killing intent grew stronger. Flames appeared above his head, and his bloodline erupted. The flaming spear turned into a terrifying killing weapon, burning the void and attacking Lu Ming. At this moment, Lu Ming's eyes flashed. Buzz! Inscriptions shone on his body. There were inscription formations that could explode true origin, inscription formations that could increase speed, and inscription formations that could increase defense in an instant. Lu Ming had carved 8 inscription formations for himself. Inscription Master. Wang Haotian's eyes were filled with shock. Kill! Lu Ming shouted and stepped out. Chapter 795. As the inscription formation emerged, 2 swords were condensed and slashed at Wang Haotian. At the same time, Lu Ming also pounced on Wang Haotian. His left palm burst out with a terrifying devouring power, enveloping Wang Haotian, while his right palm pushed out the suppressing hell skill. With the support of 8 inscription formations, Lu Ming's combat strength increased greatly. Wang Haotian's eyes were filled with shock. With a long roar, the spear light turned into a phantom, defeated the 2 swords, and then stabbed at Lu Ming. Dong! This time, the collision was even more shocking than the previous one. Wang Haotian was forced to retreat in the midst of the violent energy. Yes, this time, Wang Haotian was the one who retreated. The sound of people sucking in cold air could be heard from all around. Lu Ming actually repelled Wang Haotian, which was incredible. Wang Haotian took 6 steps back and stood firm. With a look of disbelief in his eyes, he roared, "When did you engrave the inscription formation?" He never expected that Lu Ming was not only extremely powerful in martial arts, but also in the way of inscription. Kill! What responded to him was Lu Ming's cold killing intent. Lu Ming continued to step forward. The inscriptions on the ground appeared, condensing into swords and slashing at Wang Haotian. At the same time, he also charged at Wang Haotian. Wang Haotian roared and almost turned into a man of fire. His spear moved and collided with Lu Ming again and again. But the result was that Wang Haotian kept retreating. Lu Ming had added 8 formations to himself, and at the same time he had completely suppressed Wang Haotian with the combination of the inscription formation and the devouring power of the 9 dragons' bloodline. Not far away, Luan Fingyun's face was extremely ugly. Just now he was still high and mighty, thinking that he could suppress Lu Ming at any time and take Ruan Tingting away. Now, the facts told him that he was terribly wrong. Wang Haotian's combat strength was definitely not weaker than his. If Wang Haotian was suppressed, did it mean that he would be suppressed too? It was hard for him to accept. Bang! Bang! Lu Ming stepped on the ground, and the formation emerged, condensing 8 swords and slashing at Wang Haotian. At the same time, he attacked Wang Haotian with all his might. Wang Haotian was suddenly in danger. Ah! Wang Haotian let out a long roar as his spear pierced through the sky. He turned into a beam of light and soared into the sky, breaking through the attack of the inscription formation. Wang Haotian was defeated. He rushed into the air to avoid Lu Ming's attack. Lu Ming was still unable to inscribe inscription formations in the void. Damn it! The murderous intent in Wang Haotian's eyes burst forth. He wanted nothing more than to grind Lu Ming's bones to dust. He had actually been forced back by Lu Ming and could only flee for his life. Under the watchful eyes of so many people, this was simply a great humiliation. Most importantly, Lu Ming's martial cultivation was 2 levels lower than his. Wang Haotian rushed into the sky, but Lu Ming did not have the slightest intention to stop. He suddenly changed his direction and took a few steps. Inscriptions appeared and condensed into a long spear, stabbing at Wang Kong like lightning. At the same time, Lu Ming took a step forward and instantly appeared in front of Wang Kong, striking out with his palm. Wang Kong turned pale with fright. This process happened too quickly. Wang Haotian fled, and Lu Ming took the opportunity to change direction and attack him. It happened almost instantaneously, and he did not expect it at all. He roared in horror and burst out with all his strength to resist. Bang! The long spear, condensed by the formation, was sent flying by Wang Kong. But in the next moment, Lu Ming arrived. A terrible devouring power shrouded Wang Kong, blocking his bloodline power and weakening his combat strength. At the same time, Lu Ming's palm struck toward him. Bang! All of Wang Kong's defenses were shattered under Lu Ming's palm. Lu Ming's palm struck Wang Kong's chest heavily. Wang Kong's eyes instantly popped out, and there was disbelief and unwillingness in his eyes. No. A shrill scream came out of Wang Kong's mouth, and in the next moment his body was torn apart. Lu Ming took another step, and his true ether wrapped around Kenfei Ryu's body. In a flash, he appeared at the edge of the cave. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. It was too fast. Wang Haoqian fled and rushed into the sky. Lu Ming changed his direction and attacked Wang Kong, taking Kenfei Ryu and appearing at the entrance of the cave. All of this happened in 1 or 2 breaths. Many people did not even have time to react. When Lu Ming appeared at the entrance of the cave, everyone then came to their senses and gasped one after another. Wang Kong was killed. He was killed in an instant. Was this Lu Ming's combat strength? It was too terrifying when he used all of his combat strength. A genius like Wang Kong could not resist at all. This kid is not completely dead yet. Dandan, who was on Lu Ming's shoulder, suddenly said. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat, and his eyes lit up. He said, Dandan, what do you mean? What do you mean by not completely dead yet? This kid seems to be dead on the surface, but in fact he still has a glimmer of life. His cultivation was destroyed, and he used a method to self-destruct the power of his bloodline. But after all, without cultivation, it is difficult for him to fully control the power of his bloodline. So, there is still a glimmer of life. As long as his bloodline power is restored, this kid may be resurrected. Dandan explained. Really? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Yes, now I'll inscribe an inscription formation to lock this kid's glimmer of life. The rest is up to you. After saying that, Dandan flew into the cave with Kenfei Ryu and began to inscribe the formation. He talked to Dandan through voice transmission, and no one else heard it. Damn it, Lu Ming! How dare you kill the genius of the Wang family? You're dead meat. Wang Haoqian roared in the sky. Come down and fight me if you dare. Lu Ming glanced at Wang Haoqian with contempt. Wang Haoqian's face turned pale, and then it turned pale. He didn't dare to go down. Wang Haoqian, let's work together. It's more important to get the inheritance of supremacy Longine. In less than a day, the D. Tian Imperial Guards will be here. Luan Fengyun said. Okay, let's work together. Wang Haoqian nodded. Everyone, let's attack together and kill this man. Luan Fengyun waved his hand. Let's attack together. Jiang Taiyu also roared. At this moment, Lu Ming waved his hands rapidly and countless inscriptions sank into the ground. Attack! Don't give him time to inscribe the inscription formation. Wang Haoqian roared and took the lead to attack Lu Ming. At the same time, Luan Fengyun also moved. A big bow appeared in his hand, and an arrow was shot at Lu Ming. The arrow was like a stream of light, piercing through the void and making a terrifying sonic boom. Bam! Bam! Lu Ming stomped his feet on the ground, and arrays appeared one after another. Some were offensive and some were defensive. A few ancient shields appeared in front of Lu Ming, but they were easily pierced through. The arrow was aimed at Lu Ming's glabella. The infinite dragon spear appeared, and the spear collided with the arrow. Lu Ming felt his arm go numb, and he took 3 steps back. Luan Fengyun's arrow was too powerful. Chapter 796. After blocking Luan Fengyun's arrow, Lu Ming couldn't unleash his full power. This move could only tie with Wang Haotian. Both of their bodies trembled as they took a step back. Whoosh! Whoosh! At this moment, Luan Fengyan's arrow arrived again. This time it was a chain of arrows. 7 arrows were shot in a row. At the same time, Jiang Taiyu, Luan Tianhao, and the others also arrived. Jiang family, Luan family, and Wang Haotian, a total of 8 geniuses, plus a dozen fifth-layer spiritual ocean realm experts, all attacked Lu Ming. Lu Ming, I'll help you. Kong Jin shouted. Fatty, guard the cave entrance. Don't come out. Lu Ming shouted. Now the cave was full of injured people. If Fatty came out and was killed by the others, the consequences would be unimaginable. Ah! Fatty shouted. He was furious, but he also knew that he could only guard. At this moment, Lu Ming waved his hand, and a few giant creatures appeared in front of him. 2 giant snake puppets and a cheetah puppet. The 3 puppets were equivalent to the 5th layer of the spiritual ocean realm. When he was in the underground world, he annihilated the Yin snake tribe and seized a large number of puppets. Lu Ming asked Qi Jin Kong for some puppets in case he needed them. Now he could finally use them. The 2 giant snake puppets rushed toward Jiang Taiyu and the others fearlessly. Puppets were invulnerable and had great strength. They were best used for defense. The cheetah puppet rushed into the sky and rushed toward the arrows shot by Luan Fengyan. Dong! Dong! A series of explosions sounded. The cheetah puppet, which was equivalent to the 4th layer of the spiritual ocean realm, was hit by 7 arrows and exploded. This was also the reason why Lu Ming's spirit fire was so huge. Normal inscribers had to use all their strength to control a puppet of the same level. However, Lu Ming was perfect at every stage. With 10 spirit lamps lit, how powerful was his spirit fire? Not only could he control puppets above his level, but he could also control several puppets at the same time. Bang! Lu Ming, on the other hand, unleashed his full strength and sent Wang Haotian flying with a palm strike. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Lu Ming's hands once again danced wildly, and inscriptions sank into the ground. Kill! High up in the sky, Luan Fengyan shouted. His killing intent surged like a tide as arrows continuously shot down. Lu Ming waved his hand, and another puppet appeared. It flew into the air and exploded under the arrows. As for him, he seized the time to inscribe the inscriptions. On the other side, the 2 giant snake puppets exploded under the attacks of Jiang Taiyu and the others. However, with a wave of Lu Ming's hand, several more puppets appeared and rushed towards Jiang Taiyu and the others. At that moment, Wang Haotian arrived. The more they fought, the more shocked Wang Haotian became. His desire to kill Lu Ming grew stronger and stronger. Lu Ming had no choice but to stop inscribing inscriptions and fight Wang Haotian. The genuine ether burst inscription he had inscribed on himself would not last long. If the effect of the inscription array wore off, he would be even more passive. Whoosh! Whoosh! In the sky, more arrows were shot down. This time, the arrows could actually turn, avoiding the puppets and shooting towards Lu Ming. You want to stop me with a mere puppet? Dream on. Luan Fengyan's eyes were like lightning. Lu Ming exerted all his strength, but the cooperation of Luan Fengyan and Wang Haotian was too strong. Lu Ming was forced to retreat. What he feared most was Luan Fengyan's arrows. They were impossible to guard against, and their attack power was terrifying. They could kill people from 100 miles away. If Luan Fengyan was alone, he could naturally avoid them, close the distance between them, and defeat him. However, there was also Wang Haotian. Lu Ming's current state, even with the help of the inscription array, could barely suppress Wang Haotian. At this moment, he was in a passive position. Lu Ming, I'll help you. Kong Jin shouted. Standing at the entrance of the cave, the battle axe in his hand flew out and danced in the air, helping Lu Ming block Luan Fengyan's arrows. Clang! Clang! The battle axe blocked several of Luan Fengyun's arrows and then flew back. Then the fatty threw the battle axe out again, this time at Wang Haotian. Wang Haotian punched the battle axe back. Buzz! At this moment, a powerful force field enveloped an area with a radius of hundreds of meters. Xian Yanqing was also standing at the entrance of the cave behind the fatty. Although Xian Yanqing's face was still a little pale, his injuries had basically stabilized. Destruction cut! In Xian Yanqing's sky demon force field, Luan Fengyun's arrows were greatly weakened, and it was much easier to defend against them. Jiang Taiyu and the others were also suppressed by the sky demon force field. Lu Ming's pressure was reduced a little. Lu Ming, I'll help you too. Dandan flew out and stood on Lu Ming's shoulder. Brother Jian, how is it? Lu Ming asked. I've temporarily locked his vitality with an inscription formation. It's up to you guys now. Dandan said. Then Dandan retracted its limbs into its turtle shell and flew forward. An arrow hit Dandan's turtle shell and sparks flew everywhere, but the arrow was also knocked off course by Dandan. Dandan flew back to Lu Ming's shoulder and shouted, You want to shoot through my invincible defense? Little brat, you're still 1,000 miles away. Luan Fengyun's eyes were filled with murderous intent. She shot 9 consecutive arrows, one after another, forming a straight line. In an instant, they traversed thousands of meters in the air, pierced through the obstruction of the heavenly demon force field, and shot toward Lu Ming. Watch me. Dandan flew out and blocked the arrows with its turtle shell. Clang! Dandan was sent flying, but the continuous stream of arrows were knocked off their course. With a scream, a young man in the 5th layer of the spirit sea realm of the Luan family was shot through by an arrow and died on the spot. Haha, I said, you're still far from breaking through my defense, little brat. Dandan shouted. Lu Ming exchanged a move with Wang Haotian and continued to inscribe inscriptions. At this time, Jiang Taiyu and the others had already rushed over. Lu Ming had already lost more than a dozen powerful puppets. Now, Lu Ming no longer had any puppets in his hands. Bang! Bang! Lu Ming took a few steps and formations appeared, forming sabers, giant swords, spears, and so on, attacking Jiang Taiyu and the others. And Lu Ming continued to inscribe formations. Just like this, Lu Ming, Fatty, Xian Yanqing, and Dandan worked together, fighting while inscribing inscriptions. It lasted for more than 10 minutes. It's done. Lu Ming waved his hands, and as the last inscription sank into the ground, Lu Ming revealed a look of joy. Bang! As Lu Ming took a heavy step, dense inscriptions appeared on the ground. Then a light curtain rose up, enveloping Lu Ming and the others. In the light curtain, endless sword qi condensed and attacked Jiang Taiyu and the others. Not good. This is a 6th level top killing formation. Jiang Taiyu and the others roared in horror and retreated frantically. Whoosh! Whoosh! In the formation, sword qi was rampant, and in an instant, several young men in the 5th layer of the spirit sea realm were killed. Jiang Taiyu, Luan Tianhao, and the others desperately rushed out of the range of the formation. In the sky, Luan Tianhao shot arrows continuously, but in the formation, they were defeated by the dense sword qi. Chapter 797. Of course, he had learned this formation from Liao Tsang. In fact, Lu Ming's formation was not the complete version of the sword roar thunderclap formation. The complete version of the sword roaring thunder formation was a top level 6 formation. Warriors at the peak of the spiritual sea realm would definitely die if they stepped into it. Lu Ming had spent more than 10 minutes in the battle to set it up in a hurry. Of course, it was not that powerful, but it was enough to deal with Wang Haotian and the others. Wang Haotian, Jiang Taiyu, and the others tried their best to rush out of the formation, leaving behind 5 or 6 corpses. Damn it! Wang Haoqian roared. Today, not only did he not get the token he wanted, but he also left Wang Kong here. If the news got back to the Wang family, it would be a heavy blow to his prestige. His formation was set up in a hurry. Its power is limited. As long as we keep attacking, we will exhaust the energy of the formation. Then we can go in. Luan Fengyin said with a gloomy face. Okay, we will take turns attacking. Wang Haoqian said. Immediately, they arranged for Luan Fengyin to attack first. Arrows streaked across the sky like meteors, shooting towards the grand formation below. However, sword qi whistled within the grand formation, blocking all the arrows. Xiao Qing, Fatty, don't worry about your injuries. They won't be able to break in. Lu Ming sat cross-legged at the entrance of the cave and said, his spirit fire was so strong that it could continuously inscribe new inscriptions into the formation. Luan Fengyin and the others could not break it with their attacks. Xian Yanqing, Kong Jin, Wan Tingting, and the others let out a long sigh. They relaxed and started to heal their injuries. Lu Ming looked at Kenfei Ryu in the cave with a trace of worry in his eyes. If Kenfei Ryu wanted to recover, he needed treasures that could replenish his bloodline power. He could only look for treasures that could replenish his bloodline power after everything here was over. Fortunately, it shouldn't be hard to find treasures that could replenish bloodline power. Back in the Burning Sun Empire, there were blood refining crystals and blood refining pills that could replenish bloodline power and strengthen the second bloodline awakening. Naturally, Nine Dragon City wouldn't lack such treasures. However, it was inconvenient to carry Kenfei Ryu around like this. I wonder if I can keep it in the Temple of Paragon. Lu Ming's heart stirred. A strand of true essence rolled out, and Kenfei Ryu's figure disappeared. As expected, Kenfei Ryu appeared in the Temple of Paragon. Great! Lu Ming was overjoyed. It must be because Kenfei Ryu's body was completely devoid of vitality that he was able to absorb it. Up in the sky, chaotic winds and clouds attacked continuously. After half an hour, it was Wang Haoqian's turn again. Just like that, time slowly passed. 1 hour, 2 hours, soon a day had passed. Not only did Luan Fengyin and the others fail to break through the sword roar thunderclap formation, they even exhausted themselves. Damn it! How can this be? How can his spiritual fire be so strong? Wang Haoqian roared. He was so frustrated that he was about to vomit blood. The others were also glaring at Lu Ming, who was sitting cross-legged at the entrance of the cave. Xiao Qing, Fatty, how's your recovery? Lu Ming asked. I have fully recovered. I can fight a great battle now. The fatty grinned, revealing a ferocious expression. I'm almost recovered too. Xian Yanqing said. Then let's charge out. Lu Ming said. In terms of combat strength, they were no match for chaotic winds and clouds and Wang Haoqian. They could only charge out and raise their cultivation before killing them in the future. Whoosh! Whoosh! At this moment, the sound of something breaking through the air could be heard. It was extremely fast, and by the time everyone heard it, a dozen figures had already appeared in the sky. These people were all young, and they were all wearing armor and helmets. Their eyes were as sharp as knives. Standing at the front was a young man with a ferocious look in his eyes, like a wild beast. Long Qianli of the Imperial Sky Guard. Chaotic winds and clouds could not help but exclaim. The others, such as Wang Haoqian and Zhang Taiyu, also exclaimed. The spectators were even more shocked. They were not only shocked by the Imperial Sky Guard, but also the young man Long Qianli. Long Qianli was ranked in the top 300 on the list of top 1,000 talents. He was a true god-level genius who had awakened the god-level bloodline. Chaotic winds and clouds, how dare you? Blue Gold Reverend was the commander of the Imperial Sky Guard and his successor. How dare you take it away? Long Qianli's eyes swept across chaotic winds and the others. Long Qianli, Blue Gold Reverend, has been dead for a long time. His legacy is already without an owner. Why can't we take it away? Chaotic Winds and Clouds said, "Now that I'm here, you can get lost. We're going to bring the successor of Blue Gold Reverend back to the Imperial Sky Guard and train him to be the true successor of Blue Gold Reverend." Long Qianli said coldly. He was not polite at all and did not give Chaotic Winds and the others any face. The main forces of the Imperial Sky Divine Palace were divided into 3 groups. The first group was the Imperial Sky Guard, which was the direct subordinate of Martial Emperor Di. They were extremely powerful. The second group was the 6 great ancient families. The third group was the Imperial Sky Guard's branch palaces. In fact, these 3 groups all obeyed Martial Emperor Di and fought for him. However, they did not get along well with each other. Most of the people in the Imperial Sky Guard were not of noble birth. Few of them were disciples of the 6 great ancient families. Most of them were geniuses from small forces like Yan Kuangtu. They would constantly take in geniuses and train them to become the pillars of the Imperial Sky Guard. Back then, Supreme Nine Suns was one of the highest commanders of the Imperial Sky Guard. Now, Yan Kuangtu was also one of the highest commanders of the Imperial Sky Guard. Therefore, the geniuses of the Imperial Sky Guard did not get along well with the geniuses of the 6 great ancient families. Competition was a common occurrence. Chaotic Winds and Clouds' face darkened after being scolded by Long Qianli. "Long Qianli, don't go too far." Chaotic Winds and Clouds said in a deep voice, "Yes, I'm bullying you. What can you do about it? Do you want to have a fight with me?" The ferocious look in Long Qianli's eyes grew stronger, as if he were a ferocious beast that was about to attack. "Humph! Apart from me, Brother Wang Haotian and the geniuses of the Jiang clan are here. We are not afraid of you." Chaotic Winds and Clouds said coldly as a powerful aura was emitted from her body. Wang Haotian appeared beside Chaotic Winds and Clouds. His aura was also emitted. "Hee, it seems like you all are interested in witnessing the power of a god-ranked bloodline." Long Qianli's ferocious look grew stronger as a cold grin appeared on his face. Roar! Suddenly, the cry of a dragon echoed in the heavens and earth. A serpent dashed out from Long Qianli's body. The serpent was pitch black in color. Most shockingly, it had 3 heads. This was a legendary ferocious beast, the 3-headed demonic serpent. It was extremely powerful. It was said that the 3-headed demonic serpent could even compete with some of the weaker, true dragons. One could imagine how terrifying it was. A golden chakra on the 3-headed demonic serpent's body attracted everyone's attention. A golden chakra was a god-ranked bloodline. Chapter 798. A 9th grade king, class bloodline, might seem to be only 1 grade away from a 1st grade god class bloodline, but in essence they were worlds apart. There was no comparison at all. Those who had not awakened a divine bloodline would have limited achievements in the future. Only those who had awakened a divine bloodline could be considered a divine-level genius, and their future achievements would be limitless. The top 300 on the list of top 1,000 talents were all geniuses who had awakened a divine bloodline. Is this the power of a divine bloodline? There was a glint in Lu Ming's eyes, and he looked forward to it. At this moment, Long Qianli's body seemed to turn into a beam of light and rushed into his bloodline. Kill! The 3-headed demon snake opened its mouth, and its voice was exactly the same as Long Qianli's. The 3-headed demon snake seemed to have come alive and turned into a real 3-headed demon snake. Bloodline fusion. It was said that those who had awakened a divine bloodline could perform bloodline fusion. Their bodies would merge with their bloodline and turn into their bloodline form, erupting with terrifying combat strength. The 3-headed demon snake's huge claws slapped toward Chaos Feng Yun and the others. Let's work together. Chaos Fengyan roared, his eyes filled with horror. A powerful aura erupted from his body as he knocked an arrow and instantly shot out 9 arrows in a line toward the 3-headed demon snake. At the same time, Wang Haotian, Jiang Taiyu, and the others also attacked. Together, they attacked the 3-headed demon snake. Clang! First, the 9 arrows were swatted away by the 3-headed demon snake's claws. The huge claws continued to strike forward. Bang! Bang! Chaos Fengyan, Wang Haotian, and the others all trembled violently and flew out like cannonballs, vomiting blood. In one move, Chaos Fengyan and the others were all injured, and they all looked at Long Qianli in horror. You want to fight me with just the likes of you? You're overestimating yourselves. The 3-headed demon snake spoke in human language and then quickly shrank. In the next moment, it turned back into Long Qianli's appearance and looked fiercely at Chaos Fengyan and the others. Crushing. It was a complete crushing. The onlookers were shocked. Is this the power of a divine bloodline? Bloodline fusion is indeed powerful. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. Long Qianli's cultivation should be in the 5th layer of the spiritual ocean tier. Although he was higher than Wan Fengyun and the others, it was very difficult for normal prodigies to achieve such a complete suppression. However, Long Qianli completely suppressed them, and no one knew how much power Long Qianli used just now. As one's cultivation increased, the power of the bloodline fusion would become even stronger. Do you still want to fight? Long Qianli glanced at Luan Fengyun and the others, causing their expressions to change greatly. Long Qianli, the god-level prodigies of our 3 families, are not here today. Otherwise, we might not be afraid of you. Luan Fengyun said through gritted teeth. Nonsense. Now scram. Long Qianli said. Long Qianli, you can take Reverend Lan Jin's successor, but the others belong to us. Wang Haotian said. He still hadn't given up on Lu Ming's token. Long Qianli frowned as he swept Lu Ming and the others with his gaze, and then his gaze descended onto Wan Tingting in the end. He said, You're the inheritor of Exalt Blue Silver, right? Come with us. No. Lu Ming took a step forward and said in a clear voice, No. You want to stop me? Long Qianli's gaze turned cold. She's my friend. If you want to take her away and take away the inheritance from her soul, you'll have to go through me first. Lu Ming's gaze was extremely firm. Ha ha ha. Unexpectedly, Long Qianli suddenly laughed out loud and said, So that's what you're worried about. You don't have to. Do you think we're as disgusting as the 6 ancient families? We won't take away her inheritance when we take her back. Instead, we'll nurture her and let her grow stronger. Oh, how can I believe you? Lu Ming said. This is very simple. In history, this lady isn't the only one who has obtained the inheritance of an expert. Those who went to the D Tian Imperial Guard in the end were all nurtured. Some of them even reached the top of the D Tian Imperial Guard. No one has ever been robbed of their inheritance. Who doesn't know this? Long Qianli said. Lu Ming, I'll go with them. Wan Tingting walked out of the cave and said, The D Tian Imperial Guard has indeed never robbed others of their inheritance. Wan Tingting was very clear that her best option now was to go to the D Tian Imperial Guard. If she didn't go, the 6 ancient families wouldn't give up, and she would even implicate Lu Ming and the rest. Lu Ming and the rest were also very clear about this. Young Master Long, I can go with you, but I have a condition. Wan Tingting said. What condition? Long Qianli asked. I want them to leave this place with me. After we leave the 100 Supremes Mountain, I'll let you go. Wan Tingting pointed at Lu Ming and the rest. No, they have to stay. Wang Haotian suddenly shouted. Is it your turn to speak? Long Qianli's eyes suddenly darkened. He glanced at Wang Haotian, causing Wang Haotian's face to turn pale. For the sake of your friends, all of you were willing to fight until the very end. You fought with all your might against powerful enemies. I admire true chosen and heroes like you the most. Even if you didn't say anything, I would have done the same. Very well, Long Qianli said loudly. Lu Ming, let's leave this place together. Wan Tingting looked at Lu Ming, Xian Yinqing, and the rest. All right. Lu Ming nodded. Right now, it was better to leave this place and increase his cultivation. Immediately, Lu Ming waved his hand and the sword roar thunderclap formation disappeared. Let's go. Long Qianli led the way, and Lu Ming and the rest followed Long Qianli and the rest as they flew out. Damn it! Wang Haoqian roared, his eyes flashing with cold, murderous intent. Humph, informed the family. We can't let these people go easily. Luan Fengyun also said coldly. They sent the news to their families. Lu Ming and the rest quickly left the 100 Supremes Mountain and flew towards the west. The Wang family's dragon vein was at the easternmost side, and the Di Tian Imperial Guard was at the center of Nine Dragon City. It was at least 10 million miles away from here. After flying for a few 100,000 miles, they stopped. Tingting, we won't send you off. Take care. Kong Jin said reluctantly. And you guys too. When I'm done with my cultivation, I'll come back to look for you guys. Wan Tingting said, Tingting, goodbye. Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing also bid farewell to Wan Tingting. Lu Ming then cupped his fists at Long Qianli and said, Brother Long, Lu Ming has something to ask. Is there any place in Nine Dragon City that can replenish one's blood essence? Of course, the 10,000 blood pool is the most suitable place to replenish one's bloodline. That place is a high-grade cultivation sacred ground. You can accumulate bloodline power there, and it's very helpful for awakening your third bloodline. However, you need a token to enter. Long Qianli said. 10,000 blood pool. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Lu Ming, I'll give you this jade talisman. It records some of the cultivation sacred grounds in Nine Dragon City. There are ordinary ones and advanced ones. However, only those who are qualified can enter the advanced cultivation sacred grounds. You can take a look. Chapter 799. Lu Ming received it and said, Many thanks. You're welcome. Let's go. Long Qianli smiled and left with the Di Tian Imperial Guard and Wan Tingting. Fatty, stop looking. She's already gone far. Lu Ming patted Kong Jin's shoulder when he saw that Kong Jin was still staring in the direction Wan Tingting left in. I didn't expect a fatty like you to be so loyal. Xian Yinqing's lips twitched. Of course. Don't you know who I am? A lamb leg appeared in Kong Jin's hand at some point, and he started to chew on it. Didn't you want me to introduce you to Little Qing's sister? Lu Ming whispered to Fatty. Fatty immediately straightened his body, and his eyes lit up. Of course, I have to introduce her. Tingting is Tingting, Little Qing's sister. That's her sister. It's different. Shameless. Both of you are shameless. Jackals of the same tribe. Xian Yinqing scolded and glared at Lu Ming. Fatty chuckled and continued to chew on the lamb leg. He asked, Lu Ming, where are we going now? We definitely can't go to the 100 Supremes Mountain. Let's go to the 10,000 blood pool first to save Brother Jian. Little Qing, Fatty, you guys didn't participate in the 100 Supremes Towers test, right? Lu Ming asked. 100 Supremes Tower? Xian Yinqing and the Fatty were both puzzled. After passing the 100 Supremes Towers test, you can obtain a token that leads to a higher cultivation ground. With your talent, passing the test shouldn't be a problem. Let's return to the 100 Supremes Mountain first. After you get the token, we'll go to the 10,000 blood pool together. Lu Ming said. The 10,000 blood pool could not only treat Kenfei Ryu, but it could also help them accumulate their bloodline power in preparation for awakening their third bloodline. Are we going back to the 100 Supremes mountain in disguise? Xie Nianqing asked. Lu Ming nodded. Lu Ming, you guys should stop chatting. You guys are in danger, Dandan suddenly said. Their hearts skipped a beat. Dandan, what happened? Lu Ming asked. You've been targeted as soon as you left the 100 Supremes mountain. I believe some experts will be here soon, Dandan said. Lu Ming frowned. Dandan's senses were very strong, so it shouldn't be wrong. Who was that? They targeted them as soon as they left the 100 Supremes mountain. Could they be from the Wang clan or the Lan clan? Let's go, Lu Ming said. Then they flew toward a vast mountain. Soon they landed in a valley. Lu Ming began to inscribe inscriptions in the valley. Lines of inscriptions sank into the ground. A few minutes later, a light screen flashed and enveloped them. Afterward, Lu Ming engraved an array to restrain the aura of himself, Xian Yanqing, and the fatty, completely concealing their auras. This is an illusion formation. They can't see us from the outside at all. They can only see a pile of rocks. I want to see who wants to kill us, Lu Ming said coldly. Not long after, a loud whistle sounded, and at least a dozen silhouettes flew over. These people were wearing black robes and looked quite old. They were definitely not young. They stopped in the air above the mountain valley and looked around. They should be coming here. What's going on? Why did their aura disappear? Chase them. This time, we can't let them get away. How dare they kill the geniuses of the Shangguan clan? They must die. Also, the elder instructed us to do it secretly. We can't let others know that we're the ones who did it. An old voice was heard. It was filled with cold killing intent. Then the group split into several groups and chased in different directions. So they're from the Shangguan clan. Killing intent flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. After killing the young, the old came to kill them secretly. This was the style of the big aristocratic families. They were really despicable and shameless. Lu Ming, what are you going to do? Xian Yanqing looked at Lu Ming. Since they're coming, we'll kill them all at once. Anyway, I'm lacking spirit crystals. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. Haha, that's great. Kong Jin laughed. Then Lu Ming began to inscribe inscription formations. At first, he inscribed a few illusion formations, covering the entire mountain valley. Then he began to inscribe killing formations. This time, it took Lu Ming a day to inscribe 12 sixth-grade formations in the mountain valley. Among them, the sword Roar Thunder formation was the main one. With the strength of my spirit fire, I can't completely inscribe the sword Roar Thunder formation. But those people from the Shangguan clan have the highest cultivation. They should be in the 7th layer of the spiritual sea realm. It's enough to kill them. Lu Ming had many thoughts in his mind. Let's ask them to come over now. Lu Ming smiled. Lu Ming removed the formation that concealed their aura and the illusion formation that shrouded them. Suddenly, the 3 of them were exposed in the mountain valley. Then, the 3 of them sat cross-legged in the mountain valley and began to cultivate. Powerful aura burst out without any concealment. Tens of thousands of miles away, a few black-robed people were flying. What's going on? We've been searching for so long, but we haven't found those little bastards. Where did they go? Could it be that they're already far away from this place? Someone growled. Calm down. According to the aura detected by the formation plate, they should be in this area. Let's continue to search. An old voice came from the leader. At this moment, the old man suddenly stopped. There's a reaction. The old man was holding a formation plate in his hand. At this moment, there was a point on the formation plate that was glowing. Gather the others, the old man in the lead said. Soon, more than a dozen people gathered from all directions and flew towards Lu Ming's direction. Not long after, they appeared above the mountain valley where Lu Ming's group was. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Kong Jin suddenly opened their eyes. They seemed to be a little surprised, and stood up one after another. "Everyone, what's the matter?" Lu Ming asked pretentiously. "We're here to kill you." The old man in the lead said, "Kill us? Who are you?" Lu Ming's face changed drastically, and Xian Yinqing and Kong Jin also pretended to be shocked. "Hee, you don't have to ask about this. Go to the underworld and find out. You guys go down and kill them." The old man waved his hand, and 3 black-robed people rushed down. Their aura burst out, and they launched a crazy attack towards Lu Ming's group. However, the 3 of them didn't activate their bloodline, as if they didn't want to expose their identities. The 3 of them were all at the 6th layer of the spiritual ocean tier, and their battle prowess was extremely terrifying. That old guy is really cautious, Lu Ming thought. Obviously, the old man in the lead sent out 3 people to test the waters first. Lu Ming, Xian Yinqing, and Kong Jin stood together. They didn't want to achieve anything, but they didn't want to make any mistakes, resisting with all their strength. Now wasn't the time to activate the formation. What Lu Ming wanted was to wipe them out in one fell swoop. The 3 of them worked together and cooperated with each other. The 3 experts at the 6th layer of the spiritual ocean tier couldn't break through their defense at all. Chapter 800. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged more than 100 moves, and it was still hard to determine the winner. These 3 little bastards are really strong. They must be killed. The old man in the lead revealed a shocked expression. Lu Ming and the other 2 were all in the 2nd layer of the spiritual ocean tier, but when the 3 of them worked together, their coordination was flawless. It was really shocking that they could fight against 3 experts in the 6th layer of the spiritual ocean tier. There shouldn't be any problems. Let's attack together and end the battle quickly. If it takes too long, it might attract the attention of others. The old man in the lead spoke. The battle caused quite a commotion. If other experts passed by and exposed their identities, the Shangguan clan would have a hard time explaining to the outside world. At this time, if the younger generation was defeated, they would send the older generation to secretly kill them. Then, how would the geniuses of other large regions dare to come to Nine Dragons City to compete with the geniuses? If they accidentally beat up the geniuses of large aristocratic families and secretly sent the older generation to kill them, then who would dare to come? Kill! Kill! The others shouted coldly and charged into the valley together. The powerful aura and cold-killing intent made Lu Ming and the others feel a chill. There were at least 5 experts in the 7th layer of the spiritual ocean tier, and their battle prowess completely crushed them. Lu Ming's expression changed drastically, and he roared, "Charge! Charge out!" They tried their best to charge out, but the 3 experts in the 6th layer of the spiritual ocean tier blocked them with all their strength. The next moment, a dozen black-robed people all descended into the valley. "3 little bastards, I'll send you on your way. Remember in your next life to be low-key. Some people can't be offended," the old man in the lead said. Is that so? In my eyes, your Shangguan clan is really nothing." Lu Ming sneered. The old man's expression changed drastically, and he said, "You know us. I've been waiting for you. Now let me send you on your way." Lu Ming sneered and took a step forward. Wong! Instantly, the whole valley shone brightly. Dense inscriptions appeared on the ground and walls. Inscriptions of various colors intertwined, dazzling and eye-catching. "Not good. We fell into a trap. Retreat!" The old man roared involuntarily. "Too late, kill!" Lu Ming shouted coldly. Endless sword chi condensed and shot towards the old man and the others. Lu Ming had spent quite a bit of time on this sword chi thunderclap formation. Although he could not unleash its full power, it was still much more powerful than when he had hastily cast it on the 100 Supremes mountain. Moreover, there were 11 other formations to assist him. Vines shot out and wrapped around the Shangguan clan members. Then sword chi, saber chi, and spear chi slashed at them. Puchi, Puchi. 10 experts in the 6th layer of the spiritual ocean tier were instantly killed. Only 5 experts in the 7th layer of the spiritual ocean tier were still holding on bitterly, trying to break out, but they couldn't. All kinds of grand formations covered them. The 12 great formations that Lu Ming laid down were not purely offensive formations, but also trapping formations. Soon, the Mountain of 5 was drenched in blood. Wounds were inflicted by the sword chi. Ah, my Shangguan clan will not let you off. The old man in the lead let out an unwilling roar. But soon they followed in the footsteps of their predecessors and were killed here. 15 experts in the 6th layer of the spiritual ocean tier and above were all killed. These people have quite a lot of supreme grade spirit crystals. Let's find a place to cultivate first. Lu Ming said. He grabbed the 15 people's rings of holding and devoured their blood essences. The blood essence of these 15 people was too strong. He had a feeling that he couldn't control it and urgently needed to find a place to cultivate. Immediately, Lu Ming waved his hand and flames appeared, burning the 15 corpses into ashes. Then, the 3 of them left and flew into the distance. After 200,000 miles, they found a hidden cave and walked in. You guys check these storage rings. I'm going to cultivate. After saying that, Lu Ming sat cross-legged and refined the blood essence with all his might. Previously, in the battle with the Wang clan, Jiang clan, and Luan clan at the 100 Supremes Mountain, he killed 6 experts in the 5th layer of the spiritual ocean tier and refined their blood essence. Lu Ming felt that the prison-suppressing steel bloodline was getting closer and closer to leveling up. He seemed to be able to see the level of the divine bloodline. Lu Ming was refining the blood essence with all his might. Xian Yinqing and Kong Jin were also cultivating. The lowest of the 15 martial artists was in the 6th layer of the spiritual ocean tier, and there were 5 in the 7th layer of the spiritual ocean tier. The power of the blood essence was too strong. It was constantly refined and poured into the prison-suppressing steel bloodline. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. This time, the refining process took 3 full days. Buzz! Above Lu Ming's head, the prison-suppressing steel bloodline shook crazily. 9 silver chakras emitted a dazzling light like 9 silver suns. Xian Yinqing and Kong Jin both opened their eyes and looked at Lu Ming. Suddenly, their eyes widened and their mouths opened wide. Xian Yinqing was a little better, especially Kong Jin, whose mouth was opened so wide that it could swallow a big lamb leg. The 9 silver chakras on the prison-suppressing steel actually slowly converged towards the bottom. At first, 2 chakras merged together. Then 3 chakras merged together. In the end, a total of 9 silver chakras merged together. The moment the 9 silver chakras merged together, it no longer emitted silver light but golden light. At the same time, the size of the prison-suppressing steel also expanded rapidly, becoming even more majestic and tall. On top of it, there was a desolate, ancient, and heavy aura, as if it came from ancient times, crossing time and space, giving people a strong pressure. The clouds above also became a little lighter, allowing people to see the lines on the prison-suppressing steel more clearly. A golden chakra surrounded the prison-suppressing steel. The divine bloodline has leveled up. It has leveled up to the divine bloodline. Kong Jin stared blankly, dumbfounded. Xian Yinqing was still okay, because she already knew that Lu Ming's bloodline would level up. Although she was shocked, she didn't lose her composure. Finally, it has leveled up to the divine bloodline. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. In his heart, there was a strange feeling that he could transform into the prison-suppressing steel at any time and suppress all enemies. Thinking of this, he couldn't wait. With a thought, he suddenly felt his body turning into a ray of light, entering the prison-suppressing steel. At this moment, the aura of the prison-suppressing steel increased greatly. An even more strange feeling was born. Lu Ming felt as if he was a prison-suppressing steel. Prison-suppressing, heavenly skill. Lu Ming felt that even if he transformed into the prison-suppressing steel, he could still use the prison-suppressing, heavenly skill, and the power was much stronger than when he used it. Whoosh! In the next moment, the prison-suppressing steel shrunk and finally turned into Lu Ming's figure, appearing on the ground. Lu Ming, your bloodline can actually level up. Amazing, amazing. Chapter 801. Fatty, this is a secret technique that I comprehended from my bloodline. It can devour blood essence and upgrade the bloodline level. Lu Ming said, Fatty's character was unquestionable. For Wan-Ting-Ting, he risked his life to fight the Wan family. At the same time, in order not to implicate them, he didn't transmit his voice to them at first. They could be said to have experienced life and death battles, so Lu Ming naturally trusted him. Moreover, if they often traveled together in the future, the matter of his bloodline couldn't be hidden. Therefore, Lu Ming didn't hide the fact that his bloodline had been upgraded. Of course, he also didn't mention the 9 dragons' bloodline, but only the secret technique in his bloodline. Bloodline secret technique. Amazing, amazing. Why don't I have such a powerful secret technique? The fatty pulled a long face. He suddenly stretched out his hands and touched Lu Ming's body. Hey, fatty, what are you doing? I don't have that kind of hobby. Lu Ming stepped back and said, Let me see, let me study it. Fatty's small eyes lit up. Lu Ming directly kicked Fatty, making him fall flat on his face. Fatty, this is the secret of my bloodline. Don't tell anyone. Lu Ming warned. I know, let me study it. Fatty still didn't give up. Get lost. This time, it wasn't Lu Ming who spoke, but Xian Yinqing. She stared at Fatty with an unfriendly gaze, a lotus dancing on her finger. Fatty immediately became obedient and muttered, You only care about your man. You even beat up your friends. I'm so miserable. Xian Yinqing's eyelids twitched, and her face was a little red. Lu Ming looked at Xian Yinqing with a smile and said, You've broken through to the 3rd layer of the spiritual ocean tier? He discovered that Xian Yinqing and the fatty had both made breakthroughs in the past few days. He had been refining the blood essence with all his strength, but he also felt it halfway. And yes, Xian Yinqing nodded. It's useless even if I broke through. I still can't beat a monster like you. You actually managed to upgrade your bloodline to the divine level. Once your bloodline fuses, how am I supposed to fight you? Fatty muttered. Then you guys have to awaken your 3rd bloodline as soon as possible. Let's go. We'll return to the 100 Supremes mountain now. You guys can challenge the 100 Supremes tower and obtain the tokens. After that, we'll head to the blood pool together. Lu Ming said. However, they naturally wouldn't return like this. Instead, they would change their appearances. At their level, changing their appearance and body was a very simple matter. As long as they could control their muscles and bones, it was very easy. The main thing was their aura. No matter how they changed their appearance and bones, their aura would not change. However, this was simple. Lu Ming directly engraved a formation on the 3 of them to restrain their auras. Since he couldn't change it, he just had to keep it in check. The 3 of them changed their appearances and bodies, changed their clothes, and flew towards the 100 Venerables mountain. Half a day later, they returned to the 100 Supremes mountain and headed straight for the 100 Supremes tower. Below the 100 Masters tower, there were still a few people watching. At this moment, someone was challenging the tower. However, the highest one was only on the 6th floor. Not long after, everyone failed. When the light on the 6th floor dimmed, Xian Yinqing and Kong Jin rushed into the 100 Supremes tower. There were also a few other people who followed them. Lu Ming stood there and watched. He wasn't worried. Xian Yinqing and Kong Jin's wills were very strong. They had comprehended it to a very deep level. Moreover, they had fused the two wills together. It shouldn't be a problem for them to pass the 100 Supremes Tower. Rumble. At this moment, a violent sonic boom came from the sky. A blazing aura spread down, and a figure covered in purple flames flew over rapidly. Boom! With a loud boom, a figure landed on the ground. The blazing aura came wave after wave. Lu Ming looked over. Then a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. That person was actually Wang Haoyan. Get lost! Wang Haoyan shouted coldly and strode forward. The others hurriedly retreated, giving the best position to Wang Haoyan. However, Lu Ming stood still and did not move. You're not retreating? Wang Haoyan looked coldly at Lu Ming. Wang Haoyan had been in a bad mood for the past few days. He brought Wang Kong and Kenfei Ryu with him, intending to get the token of a higher cultivation, holy land from Lu Ming. In the end, not only did he not get the token, but Wang Kong also died and he was injured. Because of this, he was even scolded by the elders in his family. In the past few days, he had treated his injuries and planned to challenge the 100 Supremes Tower again, hoping to get the token. Now he asked the others to get lost, but they didn't. Were they not giving him face? Wang Haoyan's heart was burning with anger. Lu Ming's lips curled into a sneer as he looked at Wang Haoyan coldly. His original plan was to go to the blood pool and save Kenfei Ryu. Then he would go to another cultivation, holy land, to cultivate for a period of time and improve his cultivation. Then he would find an opportunity to kill Wang Haoyan. However, he didn't expect Wang Haoyan to deliver himself to him. Lu Ming didn't mind making a move now. Seeing that Lu Ming dared to look at him like that, the anger in Wang Haoyan's heart burned even more. Brat, how dare you stare at me with such a gaze? Today, there's no need for your eyes to exist. Wang Haoyan emitted a cold, murderous intent. At this moment, the 100 Supremes Tower lit up one by one. Soon, the 5th floor lit up, and in the next moment, the 6th floor also lit up. Lu Ming knew that it wouldn't take long for Xian Yanqing and the others to reach the 9th floor. Since that was the case, he would get rid of Wang Haoyan. Wang Haoyan, I said that I will kill you. Have you forgotten so quickly? Lu Ming curled his lips and said coldly. Hearing Lu Ming's voice, Wang Haoyan's expression suddenly changed, and he said, It's you, Lu Ming. The bones in Lu Ming's body moved, and in the next moment, he returned to his original appearance. Ha ha ha, it's really you, Lu Ming. I didn't expect that you would dare to come back and show yourself in front of me. Good, good, this time I'll see who can save you. Wang Haoyan's face was filled with ecstasy. Never in his wildest dreams would he have thought that Lu Ming was still in the 100 Supremes Mountain. He had thought that Lu Ming had already left and headed to a higher level of cultivation. Moreover, Lu Ming didn't have any companions by his side, which made him even happier. What are you so happy about? You weren't my opponent back then. Why would I need anyone to save me? Lu Ming sneered. Back then, you only relied on the formation. Today, I won't give you a chance. Kill. After saying that, Wang Haoyan suddenly exploded, and a blazing aura spread out. He used his full strength as soon as he attacked. He wanted to completely suppress Lu Ming with a violent attack, so that he wouldn't have a chance to inscribe inscriptions. Why would I need inscriptions against you? Lu Ming smirked and lashed out with his palm. Bang! In the next moment, Wang Haoyan's figure shuddered violently, and the flames on his body flickered. He was knocked backward rapidly and almost spat out a mouthful of blood. How could this be? How did your attack become so much stronger? Chapter 802. He unleashed his full strength, but he was actually pushed back by Lu Ming's palm. Lu Ming was clearly still at the 2nd level of the spiritual ocean realm, the same as a few days ago. Why did his attack suddenly increase so much? Lu Ming's palm seemed to have the power to suppress everything. It was extremely terrifying. I said, I don't need inscriptions to kill you. Kill. Lu Ming's killing intent burst out. He strode out his palm like a heavenly monument and slashed at Wang Haoyan. The suppressing hell-heaven skill would become more and more powerful as the suppressing hell-steel bloodline upgraded. When the suppressing hell-steel bloodline upgraded to the divine level, the power of the suppressing hell-heaven skill was directly equivalent to the 6th level of the demigod level martial skill, the highest level. Its power was more than 10 times stronger than before. Although there was no change in Lu Ming's cultivation level, his combat ability had improved tremendously. Wang Haotian was shocked and furious. He unleashed his full strength to resist desperately, but he was still completely suppressed by Lu Ming. He was bombarded back and forth, coughing up blood. At the bottom of the tower, the other people were even more dumbfounded. A few days ago, Lu Ming almost single-handedly stopped the 9 geniuses of the 3 aristocratic families, shocking the 100 Supremes mountain. They never thought that the person standing beside them just now was Lu Ming. And now, Lu Ming even unleashed a terrifying battle strength. He did not use the path of inscription. He suppressed Wang Haoyan with pure battle strength, leaving Wang Haoyan with no power to fight back. In just a few days, how could Lu Ming's battle strength increase so much? Bang! Lu Ming struck out with his palm. One of Wang Haoyan's arms cracked, and the bones were broken. He spat out blood and flew back. He was no match for Lu Ming at all. Lu Ming, just you wait. Wang Haotian roared and turned to run. Lu Ming chased with a sneer. After 1,000 miles, Lu Ming suddenly sped up and blocked in front of Wang Haotian. There's no one now, so I can kill you. Lu Ming's eyes were cold. You want to kill me? Although your battle strength is stronger than mine, you want to kill me? Dream on. Wang Haotian roared. Really? The sneer at the corner of Lu Ming's mouth deepened. The next moment, the prison-suppressing steel appeared above Lu Ming's head. The bright golden light almost blinded Wang Haotian's eyes. His eyes almost popped out of their sockets as he roared in disbelief. Divine bloodline! You've awakened a divine bloodline. His voice was filled with shock, jealousy, hatred, and fear. He wanted to use the medallion to enter the 10,000 blood pool, accumulate bloodline power, awaken his divine-grade bloodline, and become a divine-grade prodigy. But now, Lu Ming was the first to succeed in his dream. How could he not be jealous? He was also terrified because he knew how terrifying a god-tier bloodline was. Run! Without thinking, he turned around and fled. It's too late to run now. Lu Ming's body turned into light and entered the prison-suppressing Steel's bloodline. The prison-suppressing Steel's bloodline vibrated and instantly pierced through the layers of space. It was like an ancient divine mountain that suppressed Wang Haotian. Wang Haotian had nowhere to run. The terrifying pressure made him extremely terrified. All of his attacks and defenses were useless in front of the prison-suppressing steel. They instantly collapsed. No, my sister will avenge me. Wang Haotian roared. Then his voice stopped abruptly. Under the suppression of the prison-suppressing steel, Wang Haotian was torn into pieces and died on the spot. The prison-suppressing steel shrank and turned back into Lu Ming's figure. With a wave of his hand, he put away Wang Haotian's storage ring and devoured his blood essence. Then, flames appeared and turned Wang Haotian's body into ashes. In a flash, Lu Ming left and returned to the bottom of the 100 Masters Pagoda. Of course, he had changed his figure again. At this time, the 8th floor of the 100 Masters Pagoda had lit up. The few people at the bottom of the pagoda did not even realize that he had returned. They were just staring blankly at the 100 Masters Pagoda. They were naturally shocked that someone had reached the 8th floor. The 9th floor has lit up. Someone suddenly exclaimed, It's really the 9th floor. Someone has reached the 9th floor again. Is it one of those two? A woman and a fatty? Everyone else has come out. Only the two of them are left. Amazing. The others sighed. Lu Ming smiled slightly. In the Wang family, where the dragon vein was located, there was a chain of volcanoes. The volcanoes erupted all year round. As this was the land of the dragon vein, the temperature of the volcanoes here was frighteningly high. It was 100 times hotter than ordinary volcanoes. Suddenly, an angry roar came from one of the volcanoes. In the next moment, a firebird completely made of flames flew out of the volcano and transformed into a beautiful woman. However, the woman's body was filled with incomparably cold, killing intent. The blazing flames seemed to be able to burn through the world. Hao Tian, who killed you? Sister will definitely let the person who killed you suffer the most painful torture in the world. The woman spat out cold and ruthless killing intent. She raised her hand. There was a jade token in her palm. The words Wang Haotian were written on it. However, the jade token was already in pieces. That was Wang Haotian's life token. When the life token was broken, it meant that he was dead. There were other members of the Wang family cultivating in the volcanoes. At that moment, a voice was heard. What happened? Wang Haotian is going crazy. I don't know. Did something happen to Wang Haotian? It's not a small matter when a god-tier prodigy goes crazy. This is not something we can interfere with. Soon the voice fell silent. Wang Haotian's figure flashed. Soon, she appeared in Wang Haotian's courtyard. After a while, Wang Haotian left Wang Haotian's courtyard and flew toward 100 Supremes Mountain. 100 Supremes Mountain, 100 Supremes Tower. Lu Ming looked up at the 9th floor. Suddenly, the 9 layers of light dimmed, and all of the light disappeared. Soon, the 100 Supremes Tower flashed. Xian Yinqing and Kong Jin appeared in the air at the same time and descended. The gazes of the others all fell on them. How is it? Lu Ming asked. Of course, there won't be a problem with me taking action. Kong Jin grinned. Xian Yinqing also nodded. It was obvious that both of them had obtained the tokens. All right, let's leave this place immediately and leave 100 Supremes Mountain, Lu Ming said. He did not know why, but he had a bad feeling in his heart. It was as if danger was about to befall them. Xian Yinqing and Kong Jin nodded. The three of them turned into 3 rays of light and left the place. They quickly headed toward the exit. Soon, they exited the exit and flew toward the west. Their destination was the blood pool. Not long after they left, Wang Haotian arrived and rushed into 100 Supremes Mountain. Wang Haotian, the god-tier prodigy? Why is she here? An old man guarding the entrance asked in surprise. Below the 100 Supremes Tower, a few young men were still in shock. They were shocked that 2 of them had reached the 9th floor. They wondered if the 2 of them had obtained the tokens. Who were they? They were so powerful. Boom! Suddenly, a terrifying pressure descended. A cold killing intent mixed with a blazing aura pressed down on their bodies. Their bodies trembled and they knelt on the ground. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.